Good evening. Welcome to the November 21st, 2022 meeting of the City of Tuscaloosa Planning and Zoning Commission. This meeting allows for alternative participation in order to accommodate all citizens. Any written comments sent to staff were forwarded to the commission directly. At this time, I'd like to introduce our staff. Mr. Jimbo Woodson, Deputy City Attorney, Michael Garner, Civil Engineer, Zach Pons, Acting Director of Planning, Caitlin Giles, Development Review Coordinator, Haley Webb, Planner, Tiana Rivas, Office Administrator. There are 9 members of the Planning Commission, all whom are appointed by the mayor for staggered terms, with the exception of the City Council representative who is appointed by the City Council. I ask the commission members to introduce themselves and state their occupation, beginning with Ms. Hornsby.
I'm Ann Hornsby, attorney.
Eddie Pugh, retired.
Sorry. Dina Prince, attorney.
Tim Harrison, general contractor.
Bill Wright, business owner. There are sign-up sheets outside for public comment. If you did not sign up, you will still be given an opportunity to speak. This commission will take up items in the order of our final agenda. The commission will initially receive a presentation from the staff as to the details of the agenda item. Additionally, we may hear certain matters involving the same property, such as an annexation and a zoning matter concurrently, although we will take separate votes on each matter involving the same property. After the staff presentation, we'll then call upon the petitioner to present their case. At the conclusion of the petitioner's remarks, I will then call on any other party in order of sign-up or otherwise who desire to support the petition. Thereafter, call upon those who oppose the petition. When it's your turn for comment, staff will introduce you to the commission to provide your remarks. Any written comments have been included into the record. We reserve the right to limit time of the remarks as to those agenda items with lengthy sign-up sheets or where continued from previous meetings. After receiving the remarks of those who oppose the petition, the petitioner will have the opportunity to respond to those objections. If the petitioner presents any new information in response to the objections, we will allow those who oppose the opportunity to respond to the new information only. During the course of this presentation, you may be interrupted by any member of the commission for clarification or additional information. Such interruptions will not reduce your allowed time limit. Once the commission members are satisfied they have received all relevant information, I will then close for further discussion by the public, at which time the commission members will discuss the matter and then vote. After the vote, you are free to leave. These proceedings are video recorded and broadcast live. All in-person public comments should be made at the podium into the microphone. Comments made by phone or virtually are video recorded through the conferencing application. Please first state your name and address for the record. Jurisdiction. In all matters pertaining to subdivision regulations, approval of subdivisions within the city and its planning jurisdiction, and to amendments, planned unit developments, and located outside the city limits, this commission serves as the final authority. As to matters pertaining to historic buffer zone construction, our decision is subject to appeal to the City Council. As to all remaining agenda matters, including original zonings, rezonings, planned unit developments within the city, and street vacations, this commission serves as a recommending body to the City Council. In that regard, our decisions are in the form of a recommendation to be presented to City Council, and the City Council will make the final decision on those matters. Subdivision approvals require the affirmative vote of 6 members of the Planning Commission. All matters which are recommendations to City Council require a majority vote for an affirmative recommendation. At this time, I'd ask, do any members of the commission have any conflicts of interest as to any agenda matters before us tonight? If so, please state for the record. Having heard none, I would ask the staff to confirm on the record that proper notice has been given to all parties in interest as required by law as to all matters before the commission tonight.
It has.
Okay. All right, with that.
We don't yet have enough members to approve a subdivision at 5.
Mr. Dooley is on the way.
We are waiting on one that's on the way. We can
We-
do something else.
We have one item of business to be continued We can begin with.
Okay, move to the continuance case then first.
Good evening, Commission. Yeah, we do have one case that was continued by staff. That's S9622. However, if we cannot begin with subdivisions, I guess we'll go down to item 8 to the Downtown Riverfront Overlay District case. Will you please get me there? Apologies to those who were before this case. We'll begin with DROD 722. This is 14 and 22 LLC petitioning to construct 6 3-bedroom townhomes located at 1402 22nd Avenue. This is zoned BGO DROD in Council District 4. Here's the vicinity map showing where that is. It is northwest of Annette Shelby Park and right near the post office. Here's an aerial view of that property. And another shot of the subject property. It's located right next to Vibe Salon. And this is to construct 6 3-bedroom townhomes. They are 2 stories in height with an estimated 1,500 square feet in total per unit. Parking is provided with a shared lot and also bay parking in front on 14th and 22nd Avenue, and they are providing 20 spaces. Each unit will have a front and back door entrance. It will lead to common shared areas, and they'll be managed by an HOA. And then the materials for the construction are brick veneer, hardy trim, stucco, and cementitious lap siding. And the Architectural Review Committee did meet on this and found that overall it meets the intent of the DROD standards and guidelines. And again, here's that subject property on the right-hand side of the screen of the picture. And here is an overview of the layout. Zooming into the the left side portion, you see units 1 through 3, as well as 6 parking spaces. And this will also be where their dumpster enclosure will be down here at the end of this parking pad concrete area. And panning over to the right-hand side, units 4 through 6, fronting 22nd Avenue. They're also proposing to do 6 feet wide sidewalks. And then they also are showing their landscaping. And here's more of that bay parking. Here's the inside layout of these units. And again, these are 3-bedroom, coming in at about 1,500 square feet apiece. And this is the upstairs layout. Previous screen was the downstairs. Then here are some architectural renderings of what these could look like. And these fall within our DROD standard guidelines for design. Do you have any questions before the petitioner comes up?
Can you pull back up the overall site plan, please? Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Petitioner.
Good evening. I'm Jimmy Duncan with Duncan Coker Associates here tonight representing 14 and 22 LLC. Crawford Nixon, that's part of the development team, is here with me tonight as well to help answer any questions about the buildings. I'll answer any questions you have.
We're getting 6 on-site parking. So I'm reading.
Do the next slide. No, the backup one. Nope, in between those 2. Right there. Right there. You're going too fast. The next one. Right there. I think one thing that I had a question, or someone had a question about, and you might take care of this in engineering, but when you come out on the street, the striped part, does that not infringe on the next people's property or something? Tell us something about that, engineering.
Yeah, the striping there in the existing street, Jimmy, just to the west of your proposed drive, I think we can just eliminate that altogether
Okay.
in the LDP process.
Okay.
Any questions for petitioner? Okay, thank you, sir. Do we have any sign-up sheets for this case? No one signed up? Okay. We've seen this petition before, the project next door, so we've got a track record with him. But would like to open up to the audience if anyone cared to, that did not sign up, care to speak for or against this proposed development. Okay. Having heard none, we'll close it. Public. Again, as I mentioned, the developer is here. He has done developments in this area, actually right next door. I thought he did a good job with that, and I think this area we've seen historically is growing, and this type of product is doing quite well in those areas. I think it's a good project for the area. Any comments beyond that? Okay, Commission, before us we have DRO 722, 14 and 22 LLC, petition to construct 6 3-bedroom townhomes located at 1402 22nd Avenue. Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Again, Ms. Prince?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes, motion approved.
All right, Commission, seeing as we still have 5 members present, we'll move on to number 9 on the opposite side, on the back side of your agenda. And we will jump down from A and go into B. And we will begin with companion case B, which has an annexation and a rezoning. We'll begin with the annexation. This is annexation 922. This is to annex approximately 2.68 acres located north of 6070 Watermelon Road. Here's the vicinity map. This is the upcoming venue right next to the Tree Farm Nursery, right across from Honeysuckle Park. And here's an aerial view of that property. Framework identified this as a secondary expansion area, and it does conform to Framework. Framework identified that as limited commercial, so the use that they're bringing in will seem to match. And then this annexation is due to the connection of city services to continue their commercial business. And then, as always, the 8 points of evaluation criteria are outlined as we're reviewing annexations. And from other departments, there were no issues with this annexation request. Do you have any questions on that before we move into the rezoning?
No, ma'am.
All right. Next, tied with this one, we have Z3222. They are petitioning to rezone what we just annexed in, or just recommended to annex in, or, oh, that we have not gotten to the discussion yet. It is a different night. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
They are requesting to rezone if approved to annex in, because they will come in as R1 and they would like to go from R1 to BN for that commercial property. And again, this is where we are in the world, right across from Honeysuckle and the aerial view. And here's another aerial view of that property. They currently have active construction happening. As I said earlier, this is for the venue. And then their adjacent properties, R1 and BGO, and Eastern, which is R1. And then again, this is for their commercial business. And here is a layout of what this will look like. This is pulled from their LDP. This is what they're currently working on. And then this does conform to Framework. This is limited commercial. And here's that land use character map yet again. And these are the permitted uses in BN.
Okay, hold on. I wanted to go back. Are they going to continue using it as a landscape or nursery
Yeah, can we go back to
business?
the site plan?
Yes. So
There we
the treehouse nursery will still be right next door. This is a new concept, which we'll have the petitioner kind of walk you through a little bit better. But this is called the venue. It's a new commercial outdoor facility.
That's on a separate lot.
That's right.
Okay, so go back to the slide before that. Or, okay, yeah, right there. Okay, so what's at BGO? Is that the church?
It is.
Okay, so their property where the treehouse nursery is, I can't tell if I'm looking north or south.
It's south.
Okay, that's going to remain outside the city limits.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right, I'm with you now.
All right.
Great, thank you. Petitioner.
Brian Fennison, 1500 High Forest Drive. Can I answer any questions?
You want to tell us anything?
We would like to be in the city, and the city would like for us to be in the city. So,
Can you tell us more about the project itself?
yes, the venue is an outdoor concept with 7 restaurants. There'll be live entertainment in the middle. It's roughly about an acre. So, if the picture you're looking up there, we've got parking. Then you come into a pub on the left, an ice cream shop on the right. Then you come out into an open area grass concept with a stage there in the middle. And then the backside is 5 restaurants. So that is counter service. So you will walk in, order at the counter, and then bring it back outside to then enjoy live music, community events, entertainment type activities. So that's kind of the 30,000-foot overview.
Did we talk
And
about
yes,
this
we will be.
before, or was there a different one that, we've had a concept like this come up before, y'all? We haven't?
Not here.
What am I thinking about? I mean, we've, okay, that's what I'm thinking about, yeah.
And yes, we are keeping open Treehouse Farm and Nursery next door. That's a big draw to come, get ice cream, go walk around the grounds. It's kind of the whole concept to be a part of the park next door.
And you're using synthetic turf?
Right now we're in the landscaping business too. So right now we're going
know.
full Bermuda grass, and we will maybe have to reevaluate that, but right now we're going to try to go natural.
Okay, good.
Any other questions I think it's a pretty easy concept to understand. We know what you're trying to do. We obviously want you to be successful and welcome to the city and bring all those tax dollars to us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody wins, right?
That's right, we win.
All right, any more questions for the petitioner? Thank you, Mr. Fennison.
Okay.
Anyone
Thank
care
you.
to speak for or against these 2 requests? Okay, having heard none, we'll close and we'll first take an annexation vote. Commission, we have an annexation request for 2.68 acres located north of 6070 Watermelon Road. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, welcome to the city. Our second on this companion case is Z 3222. Mr. Fennison petitions to rezone those 2.68 acres from R1 to BN. And the reason that whenever you come to the city, you automatically come in as R1. He's asking to rezone to the business classification. Do I have a motion and a second?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Got a motion and a second, beginning with Ms. Hornsby.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, motion approved.
All right, now we have 6 members. Let's flip our page right back over and start at the top underneath consent agenda. We have 1 item on the consent agenda tonight. It is S9322 for the 14th and 22nd townhomes. That was with that DROD case that we reviewed first. This is just to create those townhome lots.
We do have someone who did sign up for, make a comment on this.
Oh, all right.
So we need to allow that to happen.
Mr. Chairman, looks like Tom and Judy, Perry and Amy, 242 Patriot Parkway.
Signed for the wrong case.
Tom and Judy, Perry and Amy. Last call.
Hey, what? They left, okay. All right, I guess we need to come back up and we'll, since no one did sign up correctly. Commission, consent agenda item, 1 item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it.
All right. And we are going to review 1 preliminary plat first before we jump back into our companion cases. I hope everyone's able to keep up. I'm so
You're ping-ponging.
We're getting there together, everyone. We have S9522 Hamrick Place. This is consisting of 3 lots on approximately 6.3 acres located at 729 and 755 55th Place East. This is not in city limits, and it is also in Council District 7, which I will show you in just a moment. Here is the vicinity aerial map. And here is the aerial view. So on the left-hand side, that piece of property is not located within city limits, but everything to the right of it is. So here's that plat with contours and without. This is to create 3 lots to give an access to lot 2 down below. And they are requesting sidewalks, lot configuration, and capped sewer.
Engineering.
We're okay with those requests.
Can you go back to the area?
Yes.
please? So currently, the house is accessing through the parking lot.
That's right.
What is that facility?
I believe it's a medical facility. I believe it's a medical facility. It's assisted living. Assisted living.
Where is that?
It's not the old,
House and storage building.
Yeah. But engineering has no issues with those variance requests. Let's bring the petitioner up, please.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, Bobby Herndon, 2728 Berlin Wallace Boulevard, Northport, representing Mr. Hamrick. The facility is Hamrick Highlands Assisted Living Facility, down not too far behind Upsurge, Superskate. Then there wants to make 3 lots. The first lot being the facility. The second lot, his son has a house on back there. And the third lot, he is putting in the rest of his property into that. When we met with staff in the pre-design, they said we need to get some road frontage for both flags there. The county has okayed the lot configuration as far as the minimum road width from 30 to 25 feet. And that's pretty much it.
Question for legal here. We're taking part of lot 1 that is not in the city limits, and we're gonna add it to a lot that's in the city limits. So that access becomes part of the city. No, it stays in the county. But the lot will still have.
The way we work these is they have to be approved by the city. Because they're part in one, part two, part one.
We don't have to annex it?
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going with it.
That's the preferred way. But if they don't want to annex it, they have to be approved.
And that's what you're saying the county has approved.
Yes, sir.
They did. That's correct.
We're okay with this?
Mhm.
So, question with the lot configuration and us approving it being, I'm assuming 2 is in the city and 1 is out of the city, or am I back?
that's what I
That's
thought.
right.
2 is in the city and
Two
1
is
is
in
out of
the
the city. Access, let's say lot 3 decided, hey, I'm not gonna give you access anymore off my garbage, fire, the conditions of that lot configuration would not allow, doesn't look like it would allow access for these services.
There could be issues with being part in the city and part in the county.
So how do we address it?
I think we need to hear the proposal of how those will be addressed.
Okay, this is the first I've heard about that. So as far as the services, as far as fire and rescue, garbage?
Yeah, I mean, right now, it's obviously, it's easy. He goes through lot 3 and they access where they're accessing. But once, let's say lot 3 said, hey, I don't want to give you any access directly off our property anymore. The current, looks like the current layout of the access that is being proposed will not allow for services back to the residents in Lot 2.
Well.
Turning radiuses, I could be wrong, but you need to tell me if I'm wrong.
No, yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
If we need to, we could probably get an easement coming through the existing parking lot. That's how the house is being accessed now.
All right.
If the city is okay with that, as far as approval of preliminary, you could say we could do an easement coming through the parking lot because they're probably still gonna be using the parking lot
Yeah,
to get
I
back there
understand.
anyway.
I understand.
In that case, do you need to add this,
Yes.
this flag? This
You do for
flagpole
public
if
street
you've got
frontage.
access through
Say again?
Lot 3?
Public street frontage for Lot 2, that's why they did it.
I'm sorry, what?
To provide public street frontage to Lot 2, that's why that sliver is there. I believe the whole plan at the beginning was to provide an access easement to that Lot 2 as well, because you're,
So you're saying that they're gonna get an access across Lot 3
Instead of right here.
to Lot 2. But basically the flag situation is strictly because you have to have street frontage.
We had to have
Well,
public road frontage.
Right,
I mean,
right, right.
as
So-
long
But
as
if we-
staff's okay with us doing that,
You
that's
got the
fine.
access easement
You'd
nailed
access it.
down? Okay.
But instead of asking for the variance for the lot configuration, couldn't you just ask for a variance for the street frontage? And grant an easement through 3 and not have to
Well,
jump that line?
each lot would need to have public road frontage, have to actually own a strip out to the public road. And this satisfies that requirement, but as far as Tim's concerns, we could do an access easement.
I mean, I think staff's okay with it, you get access even.
Then
yeah,
that
just
works.
add that as a condition of your approval if you do decide to approve it.
I would ask for that then.
And to answer your question, we would rather they have a lot configuration variance than a variance from public street frontage.
Okay. That was my question.
Do we need to do anything, Jimbo, on the language side of this conversation, or have y'all got it in
You can make it conditional.
of the access easement?
Yes.
I wouldn't like doing conditions.
I think under this circumstance, we can handle that particular condition.
So are they gonna take that dog leg out
All right, fair enough.
of Lot 2?
Anything else?
No, I thank y'all for working me in so fast so I can get back to city council meeting.
You got
Thank
lucky. Okay.
I know you're excited
Has
about it.
anyone signed up? Anybody signed for this? Speak for or
No,
against?
no.
Okay.
Sorry, no.
Anyone care to speak for or against this petition request? All right. Okay, where are, what case we on? I've gotten so
Hey,
confused.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask
All
a
right, there we go.
question
All
before
right.
you,
S95.
before we start?
Is that-
I don't think I was paying good attention. Are we taking the flag off of Lot 2?
No.
We're gonna leave the flag on Lot 2?
Correct.
And then designate that as an access easement?
No,
Or
there
the
will-
access easement will come in through Lot 3?
Correct.
Correct.
Through, that's
we're
how
gonna-
they
And
access
will it be
the
shown
property
on the
current-
plat?
In the
Yes.
plat, we're gonna make a
Okay.
condition as
Okay.
well.
All right.
So, any more questions before I try to sum this thing up? All right, Commission, before us, we have S9522, which is, what page is it on?
Hamrick
I've
Place.
lost it.
It's number
6.
Number
Six.
6.
All right, there we go. Sorry, guys, we've been bouncing around all night tonight. All right, S9522 Hamrick Place, consisting of 3 lots on 6.3 acres located at 729 with 3 variance requests of sidewalk, lot configuration, cap sewer, which engineering has no issues with. However, we're going to make this condition upon there being an access easement across Lot 3 to Lot 2, which will be recorded on the plat. That being said, do I have a motion and a second for approval?
Motion.
Second.
Ms. Prince?
Yes?
Yes.
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 Yes, motion approved.
All right, moving on to our continued cases from last month, we have a companion case with a subdivision and a rezoning. We'll begin with the subdivision. This is for Fire Station Number 6, and it's consisting of 1 lot on approximately 2.5 acres located at 1812 Hargrove Road East and 2002 Loop Road. This is in Council District 6. Here's the vicinity map. It's right at the intersection of Loop Road and Hargrove. And here's an aerial overview. And here's that plat with contours and without. This is to consolidate into one lot for the new fire station. And there is one variance request for sidewalks. Any questions on the subdivision before we move into the rezoning?
Engineering on the sidewalk request?
We're okay with that request.
Okay, thank you.
Moving on, we have Z2122, and the city of Tuscaloosa is petitioning to rezone that 2.5 acres located at 1812 Hargrove Road East from R2 to institutional. And again, here's that vicinity map and the aerial. And here's that property. The adjacent eastern property is zoned R3, and the adjacent western is zoned R2 and RMF1. And then this is to rezone to institutional to be appropriate zoning for a new fire station. This does not technically conform to Framework. Framework identified that as limited commercial. However, they found that this was the best site for the new fire station location. Here's that future land use map and our institutional regulations. Do you have any questions for me before Chief Smith comes?
No, ma'am. Thank you. Petitioner.
Good evening, Commission. Eric Hamner with TTL, representing the city on this. Like she said, we're trying to get to one lot and rezone for the fire station. I don't have anything else to add. Just take any questions you have.
Thoughts or questions? I think we had some questions in our pre-meeting about maybe some renderings, but I don't think we're at that point yet.
Unfortunately, we're not to full concept on this yet to really present anything.
Is this replacement or relocation of a fire station, or is it a brand new one?
I believe Fire Station 6 is a relocation. I think Fire Station 6 is currently the one by the VA, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So this will be a relocation.
This gentleman looks like he can answer.
Yeah, you want to?
You can speak better to that.
Good evening, Commission. Randy Smith, Tuscaloosa Fire Rescue Chief. This is a relocation of Fire Station 6, which is currently located on the VA property at this time.
Just get a nicer, newer, better station.
It will. This one's going to allow us a lot more access to some needed areas. Currently, we have several stations that service part of this area that have rather high run loads. This station, by being able to be accessed here or located here, will help even out the number of runs. Also will provide a better community service, allowing us to have, we're going to keep the gymnasium on site to utilize it not only for a gym, for physical training, but we'll also relocate some fire props there inside to help us with training. But our long-term goal is also to have our public education based out of this location. That way, Ms. Holly would have a classroom set up for children to come in. They'd be able to tour the new fire station and be able to go through a smoke simulation similar to the smokehouse trailer we currently have. Our long-term plan is to try to build one inside this station or inside the gymnasium.
Still going to give away the little red plastic cats?
Yes, sir.
All right, man.
Come on by.
Remember when I was a kid, I got one of those.
I don't think it'll fit.
It wouldn't fit now, but sure was fun getting it back then. Well, any other questions for these petitioners? I feel like we should give the city a hard time, but maybe we should let it pass tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, guys. Anyone care to speak for or against this petition? All right. Having heard none,
Uh-oh, there's somebody.
please come forward. Name and address for the record when you get to the podium.
Sure. My name is Alexia Cardis, Kartis, and my residence is at 2033 Loop Road. I just have a question about the sidewalks. Currently, on Loop Road, the sidewalks are located on the other side of the street. So if sidewalks are built around that property that's going to be used by a fire station, they're going to just dead end.
Bring back
pull
up.
the aerial,
Yeah,
please.
pull the aerial up.
Let's look at it.
And I just think building a sidewalk to nowhere is kind of
I
pointless.
thought that was one of their waivers.
They're asking for a waiver from that. There's no current sidewalk. I'm assuming that's why we're not requiring sidewalks in this case.
That's correct. There's connectivity on the south side of Circle, of Loop Road, so.
So we're granting them no
Oh,
sidewalks.
so no sidewalk.
No sidewalks, right. That's what they're asking for a variant. They're required, but since there are no existing ones, engineering and this body probably feels, like you said, why build sidewalks to nowhere?
Okay, well, what I think would be great would be to put a sidewalk there and have a pedestrian walk to cross over to the other side of Loop Road where there is a sidewalk. That's just my suggestion. That's all I have
Right
to say.
there, yeah.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Any other comments for or against these petitions? Okay, having heard none. Commission, before us we have, bring back up the cases, S 8422 for Fire Station number 6, 2.51 acres located 1812 Hargrove Road, with one variance request. Sidewalks Engineering has no issues with that variance request. Do I have a motion and a second?
Motion to approve.
Third. I think Mrs. Hornsby?
Yes?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes, motion approved. We have before us S 2122, the City of Tuscaloosa petition to rezone 2.51 acres from R2 to institutional. Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved?
Ms. Prince?
Yes?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes. Yes, motion approved.
All right, we have companion case B underneath our continued cases from last month. This is a subdivision and a rezoning case as well, beginning with our subdivision, which is S 8922. This is the Fifth Avenue Townhomes, a resurvey of Newton 3 subdivision consisting of 14 townhome lots and 2 open space lots on approximately 1.8 acres located at and around 2820 and 2830 Fifth Avenue, and this is in Council District 7. Here's that vicinity map, south of Central High School. Here's an aerial view. And here's that plat with contours and without. Last time you all saw this, this was a 15 townhome lot subdivision. They've reduced it to 14. Another thing to note that was changed is their dumpster location. That will be now placed in the center, whereas last time it was back through here. And they have also provided more of a buffer between the residential properties to the east of this plat. And they are requesting half-street improvements. Any questions on this before we jump into our rezoning?
Quick engineering on the half-street improvements?
Flip back to the site plan. They're putting curb and gutter, they're adding curb and gutter. I don't know that the half-street improvement is, I'm a little confused. It looks like to me we're improving the side of Fifth Avenue. So I may need the developer to explain a little more clearly why we're asking for that variance.
Say that again, Mike. I didn't understand what you're asking.
So he's made the statement, or they're requesting a variance on the half-street improvements, but they're showing adding curb and gutter along the road. So I need him to clarify what component
Okay.
we're actually asking a variance for.
Alrighty. Moving on to the rezoning. Okay, we have Z2422, and this is to rezone 1.81 acres, again located at 2820 and 2830 Fifth Avenue, from R2 to R4. And here's that vicinity map and the aerial. And last time this was before you, they were requesting RMF1 zone, and they are now requesting R4. And here's that subject property, the adjacent northern property, which is zoned R2, and the adjacent southern, which is RMF1. And then this is to allow the townhouse development. And again, here is that layout. And then here's some elevations of what these could look like. And this does conform to Framework. Framework identified this as traditional neighborhood edge, which goes on to have attached or multifamily dwellings that have a single family scale. And here's that future land use character map. And the permitted uses in R4 zoning. Do you have any further questions for staff on this one?
Can you define for me, go back to the framework language, please, ma'am? Okay, well, right there. Okay, can you define for me what dwellings that have a single-family scale?
Essentially a townhome. So they're platted on their own individual lot, which could make it feel like you have your own single-family structure, since you own that entire piece of land as well as the structure that you're within.
And they went from RMF to R4. Is that because they took away a unit? How did they come in under R4 this time and not R4 last time?
Are you asking why they chose to do R4 rather than RMF1? I think we'll let the petitioner speak to that, if that's all right.
Didn't we talk to the chair, vice chair, that we're removing 2 of those units?
I thought that's what we discussed. I remember too, originally.
They've removed one.
Just one?
Okay.
Yep.
I thought.
Okay.
And they still meet the R4 standards.
Still meet the R4 standards. Okay. All right.
Right.
Well, I have one more question. If we rezoned it according to what Framework has suggested, will everything in that area be all one color? I mean, right now, if we rezone it R4, you're going to have a rectangle of R4 in a sea of R2, I think, okay? So if we rezone, and when we get to the rezoning process of, making Framework, a practical thing, will it all be one color?
So this, not necessarily, no. The answer to that is no. There's traditional neighborhood edge, or traditional neighborhood edge, is that what this one is?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can go back to it. It could have multiple types of zoning districts within that. Could be strictly single family, could be single family R2, R3, R4, it just depends. It allows for some flexibility in that area.
Additionally, Haley just had a map pulled up that showed that this is not a sea of just R2 in this area. You've also got some R4 and RMF1 to the south, and then R3 to the east.
So this fits the intent of Framework in our future,
Correct.
or what we're doing
Mm-hmm.
with the code?
It does.
Any further questions for staff? Bring it to petitioner.
Good evening, Tom Sims, Longleaf Engineering, 432 65th Street. Ms. Haley hit on most of the things. I know there was a couple of open questions there. One of them, I think, originally when we made the submission and the original zoning request, we had our wires crossed a little bit with staff as far as what we thought was required in the other zoning. So after relooking at it, after continuing it last month, this requested zoning actually fits more of what we intended to do with the property, and I think it actually required us to lose some density and make the lots larger than we had previously platted last month. So I think that helped the overall scope of it. The other thing that I wanted to touch on was the half-street improvement question that we had a while ago. I think we kept the waiver in there almost as sort of a contingency item so as not to muddy the water on the request. I think what we talked about last time is we're more than willing to put in the half-street improvements. We don't think the topography on site may work well with them, particularly the curb and gutter aspect. Last time we talked about actually looking at that during the design and construction phase to make sure it works. So I wasn't entirely sure how y'all would like to handle that. We left the request in there, but actually are, willing to put in the improvements. We're just not sure how practical they will be.
With that being said, on your plan, you show the western lane, the southbound lane of Fifth Avenue as being a minimum of 13.5 feet, including the curb. So that meets the city's standard width. I guess the question is, what type of curb and gutter or what type of gutter you end up with in the design process.
Gotcha.
I would rather this board not grant a half-street improvement variance and allow us to choose an appropriate gutter system for the roadway widening improvements.
That's certainly suitable to us as well.
So that variance request is being withdrawn? Is that what we're saying? Okay. So there's no variances requested at this point?
But it's on the agenda though, right? For the variance request.
I guess if it's on the agenda item, you need to deny it and make them, that means they're gonna do the half-street improvements, which he's showing on the plan. His concern is a standard curb and gutter may not be appropriate based on the topography.
Well, if we deny
we just
that,
Yeah,
yeah.
then what they do?
the petition's denied,
Right.
goes away.
And he has-
Not deny, we can't come back and
Can't we just deny the waiver?
We can just deny the waiver, right? Can we just deny the waiver?
how do we deny the waiver?
We deny the waiver.
We denied the whole request. Yeah.
Oh,
So is
Right.
there a workaround?
That's what I think.
no, we've denied waivers before. And then they had.
We've
then
not,
they had
we've
to
not
vote.
approved one with denying a waiver. We've never denied have we ever denied a waiver and then approved it? I can't recall that.
Well, we just,
That's why I wondered if he could withdraw that request for the waiver.
yeah.
I think he needs to withdraw the waiver request before we vote on it.
Simply the cleanest that he moved to withdraw the waiver, and then you can vote on it clean.
Right.
So he can legally withdraw the waiver
Yes.
tonight,
Yes.
okay?
His amend his petition, withdraw the waiver, and then you can vote on it.
So should we legally go ahead and ask him to withdraw the
Yes.
waiver now?
Okay, we'd like to do that, withdraw the waiver.
Legal, should we, do we need to approve that or have any say in that, granting of that?
You can vote to approve the amendment to his petition. If that,
Is that a voice vote now?
yes.
Okay. All right, Commission, we have a petitioner's request to withdraw the variance request for, what case is this again? I'm sorry. That'd be SA 922?
Yes.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, your variance request is withdrawn. So the case continues. Any other comments before we have some folks did sign up, so you might want to hang tight.
Okay.
All right.
Ready?
Yeah.
So, Mr. Chairman, we had a couple people sign up. Brantley Newton.
Hello, I'm Ralph Brantley Newton, address 40 Journeys Inn, Lincoln, Alabama, 35096. Commission, this is my brother and I's request to oppose the currently proposed development. My brother and I are owners of the adjacent lot to the west of the property, requested to be rezoned from R2 to R4, outlined in case Z2422 and S8922. We are opposed to the current request as described by the attached longleaf revision for the following reasons. The proposed private alley significantly limits the opportunity for our future development on our property. Since our first meeting with the developer of this project back in June, we have been told by him that they intend to make this a city street. In the proposal to the board, that's not the case. It is listed as a 20-foot wide alley private alley, which would significantly limit our opportunity. Furthermore, it is our understanding that the 40-foot width of the requirement for the city street and any future development on our lot would require road frontage.
Mr. Newton, hang on one second. I want to get a map and you can show us where your property is, just to confirm, so. Bring back up, so we can pinpoint his property. That's your property there. That will be that's your property now?
That's correct.
Okay, all right.
All this was family property. You know, our grandmother lived there. And so through the passing of my uncle and my dad, you know, we inherited the property. The property was sold adjacent to the developer by my aunt. So, but we have intentions to improve the property as well. And so, you know, I wanted to make the point that, you know, the street that's going to come down parallel to our property line, or the proposed alley, as it's written, will, you know, number one, it'll landlock us in with only access to 29th Street. I think the commission brought that up in the last meeting. Another issue is in the center of our access on 29th Street, the power pole for this development's been placed right in the center of our access to 29th Street. Even have the wires that'll be buried into the ground from there. So I don't imagine they're going to move that for us if we tried to use 29th Street to access our property. So what we propose, and we asked the developer that we'd be willing to give up 20 foot of our property for half the roadway and a 10-foot easement. I think our understanding is it takes 40 feet for a city street. So if it was a cul-de-sac that came in from 29th and exited back out, then it would allow the road frontage to our property, which would maintain its value, and then it would also allow the city, you know, to service that area with their sanitation department. And the other issue that we had brought up was the dumpsters 20 foot away from our property line, and we thought it would be better if the city could service that area and use the sanitation trucks to service the apartments.
So you want you want their proposed private to be a public road?
Yes.
Which is always one of my questions, because it does, I mean, he gets the benefit of having Fifth Avenue as a frontage. That's why he can build what he's building.
That's right.
And you being the adjoining landowner, you'll have one.
That's right.
Unless that's a public road behind you.
Well, and the other problem is if we did something similar, we'd have to do another 20-foot road adjacent to it, which is going to have two impervious surfaces, you know, right next to each other, and the drainage may become an issue at that point. I just felt like, you know, it may be better for us to, you know, work with them. They're going to, you know, pave the road anyway. We'll give up, you know, part of our land to do it. So that was our suggestion.
But you're landlocked now, whether they develop this or not, right?
That is correct, other than 29th Street,
Yeah.
which is
So
now.
when you sold the property, you lost that access.
We didn't sell it, yeah, the other part of the family did.
Right.
So,
Any more comments, Mr. Newton? Mr.
Oh,
Newton,
I'm sorry.
Any other comments?
No, the comments, I think I've covered everything that I had in my letter. If you guys had a chance to review my opposition letter.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, we're going to ask petitioner to come back up and address some of these questions.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, second person who had to sign up was Judy Carter.
Judy Carter, 547 26th Street. There are just a few things I wanted to hit on again. I think my problem is the sheer number of people that it's going to add. It would be nice to have a guarantee that families are going to buy these townhouses, but I don't think there is. So when you can't, and then the person buying it then is going to rent it, well, he's going to want to rent all 3 bedrooms. So that's more cars and more traffic and more people. If it's going to be developed, I'd like to see one entrance, possibly on 29th, and not two, because I think people will cut a corner to cut through. I think crime will increase. I'd like to have just one way in and one way out. As far as, I think the last meeting, it was stated there's no development or nothing going on in our neighborhood. Well, as of today, I counted 3 new houses being built in our neighborhood, and at least 6 or 8 people that have remodeled or painted or completely gutted. So I'd just like to say there are things going on in a positive way in our neighborhood and people trying to improve the area. My main thing is the sheer number of people and the 2 entrances. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, that's all we had to sign up.
Anyone else care to speak in opposition or I guess we speak for it as well for these petitions? No one care to speak? Have the petition come back up and maybe address some of those issues you've heard.
I guess I'll tackle Mr. Newton's comments. You know, Mr. Newton made mention that the alley sort of limits the opportunity for their development. I would actually state the opposite. I think, you know, our client has had some conversations with them. We purposely moved the sanitary sewer up next to the property line. We purposely created the alley close enough to the property line. So if that ever does come to fruition in the future, it could easily be modified to accommodate a city right-of-way. You know, these guys are really asking our client to go ahead and build a full city street there so that they can have frontage. Well, they're not landlocked. They currently have access on a public right-of-way. They just don't have double access on 2 streets. Most people only have access on 1 street. So I don't think that's unusual for them to have the frontage that they currently have. But again, we have created our layout and plan to accommodate that if they can come to some sort of agreement in the future to do that. You know, there's a lot more. There's a lot more expense. There's a lot more, you know, engineering. There's a lot of other things that go into creating a city street that would be completely different than, you know, what we're showing here. But we have that opportunity in the future if it so arrives.
Let me ask you a question real quick.
Sure.
Who's going to make that decision to convert it to a city street? At that point, it's private property.
Sure. I mean, they would need to work. I mean, just like now, I think they would need to work with my client. I think my client simply owns a piece of property that's in a zone that you know, townhomes are you know, traditionally warranted, and he's just developing his property. Now, he has given them consideration by adjusting his layout for that potential future, but I don't know if it'll ever come to fruition. I've not seen a plan from them. You know, I think the request is simply create a city street and we'll give you a little bit of property to do it. That's my understanding. And so I think my client has been accommodating as he can to maybe make that happen in the future if they can come to terms. But otherwise, we're simply just trying to develop this single piece.
Mr. Woodson, a while ago when Mr. Herndon was up here on the 3 lots, and they got a condition to come through lot 1 where the nursing home was to get to lot 2, could they get a condition to use this alley to get to the property on the left, Mr. Newton's property? Because he'd have to have permission from these folks to use his property, but if he got permission to use that alley, would that not serve the purpose to where they could get to the back part of the property? A condition on
So
that?
I can help speak to that a little bit too. They actually already have public street frontage and access from 29th Street. The reason for doing a public street between these 2 pieces of property would be to allow townhomes to face that public street in the center. Now, if that was what they wanted to do, they could pursue those development plans at a future date. but we're really only talking about the piece of property involved in this subdivision. There would be no need for an easement because they already have public street frontage that they access from.
In Bobby's case, see, it was one of the lots within the subdivision that needed the access. And in this case.
If you have issues with the configuration, you don't have to recommend the rezoning.
But the configuration works for him on his lot currently. And, I mean, any other change in configuration would be the benefit of the lot to the other side. And that's not up for us, for this body to decide, in my opinion. I mean, he's developing his lot according to what the terms and conditions he has as far as the size. But any benefit would be to the owner, I guess that's to the north, that it's a private relationship. It has nothing to do with us, as far as I can tell, correct?
What is the apartment south of 29th Street by the water tower?
That's the one off of 10th Avenue, isn't it?
There's University Manor is in this area.
Don't you come in?
I believe that's what you're talking about.
Used to be the student apartment.
Yeah.
I guess it still is. Maybe.
Can I answer your question, Ms. Prince?
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm sorry, yeah.
All right. Any other
That's it.
you want to address, what you heard?
Ms. Carter did mention about trying to eliminate one of the entrances. I don't think that would be good practice for here. I don't think that the way our lot is configured that it would be a cut-through access. It doesn't seem to accommodate that sort of traffic. I guess that's the only thing I would mention for her comments.
So it's not a one-way.
Is it going to be one-way?
It's not a one-way, but you can see the configuration there. I think it.
That would be nice to have.
I'm not sure why you would take that cut through on either street to get around. I don't think that's a shortcut by any stretch.
It wouldn't be any quicker by cutting through, I don't believe you either.
Yeah, I don't think, I thought she was
Okay.
complaining because
Well, thank you. Any other
crime issue
questions or
with
comments
2 entrances.
from commission to staff? Okay. Having heard, I do understand Newton's issue, and like it was stated, it is a private matter, and we have to address what's proposed before us. So that's why we'll be taking a vote on as is, not what we'd like for it to be.
Mr. Wright, have you closed the floor to public comment yet?
I'm sorry?
Have you closed the floor to public comment yet?
Do I need to open it up?
I believe so.
Well, I haven't officially closed it, but kind of did.
I think there were some more comments in the audience.
Okay, well, I called them up. Is anyone?
I just wanted to come back and talk about, I know the development, in the road is private, but again, if we were to do something similar, is that having those two surfaces 40 foot wide of pavement, adjacent to each other, I wonder if that's going to be a problem with drainage and things like that in the future. So, and then we're told that this is going to be, or has the ability to be turned over to a city street at some point. Can I ask, do you guys see that that's a possibility based on what you see?
Again, I would say that you would need to work with this adjacent property owner to come up with possibility of what you can do with your property and what he could do with his property. However, tonight, they are proposing this. They have come forward with a plan, and they are ready to move forward with that plan.
And as far as the drainage is concerned, you'll have to address, when you go under construction, you'll have to address the drainage on your property based on what's built.
Right. And the only other comment I would make is if we did the cul-de-sac and eliminated the cut-through, that would also, eliminate the issue that was brought up earlier. And if we put the road down the property line and did the cul-de-sac, you know, it would eliminate, it would only have access and exit from 29th Street.
Well, number one, we have no knowledge of the cul-de-sac because we don't have a drawing. of it
Right.
like that. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, we will officially close public comment. Again, as I said, we understand this is a private matter, and I understand Mr. Newton's position, or lack thereof, in this case. Any other comments or from the commission?
Are we gonna take up the rezoning first?
Take up the subdivision first.
Well, you can't do the subdivision if we don't rezone it, if it's not rezoned.
So
Right?
the rezoning will go to city council for final approval, so your subdivision would be subject to the rezoning being approved. So you can take either of these in any order.
Do you
Tonight.
have a preference, Ms. Prince? I'll
I mean,
do whatever you want.
well, I have
Thank
a problem with the rezoning. I have a problem with the rezoning. I don't know what we're supposed to call spot zoning anymore. Jimbo's got to tell me, but in my mind, when I look at that map, I know there are apartments to the south of 29th, but to me, that is not congruous with the majority of the neighborhood around it. It's all single-family homes. Some of them are, you know, pretty good-sized lots. There are smaller lots, but you're gonna, you know, increase the density, and I'll have to vote no on the rezoning. Now, you all they might be 5 against 1, and that's absolutely fine. But then, I guess it would be okay to vote yes on the subdivision if I vote no on the rezoning. If it looks like it's gonna be rezoned, and then I'm just the
That's
lone
fine.
voice crying in the wilderness, okay.
And Zach, just to that, from your vantage point with framework, you're basically saying that RMF1 or R4 could be in that area.
So traditional neighborhood edge is going to allow for multiple types of like townhomes, duplexes, triplexes, whether or not the specific zoning on that piece of property allows for a quadplex. It might just allow for a townhome, you know, or something along those lines. It just depends, as well as the existing lot sizes and things like that within neighborhoods. But the idea behind it is to allow for variety within neighborhoods on a small scale.
So there's going to, I'm sorry, so there's going to be more flexibility within the new
Correct.
zoning.
Exactly.
And it won't be.
It's
quite
not
as
just
strict.
like, you know, you'd see a suburban residential, what could just be like R1 as we see today, which is more of the bigger lots, single-family homes,
And
detached homes.
that's the difference in other zoning, other areas.
Correct.
That we don't have that flexibility in other areas.
So,
You know,
so
which would
Zach,
create a spot zoning.
So
kind of situation.
R4 actually is an example of a non-multifamily zone that allows for a multifamily-like product, but that's really single-family in scale. Townhouses are a great example of that. They're allowed in R4 even though it's not an RMF1 or an RMF2, which is a multifamily zone.
Gotcha, all right.
You okay with us going? You want the rezoning first?
Please, sir.
Ms. Prince will request the rezoning first, and then
Let's get that out of the way.
let's do that. All right, Commission, before us, we have Z 2422, Longleaf Engineering petitions to rezone from R2 to R4. This is 2820 and 2830 Fifth Avenue. Do I have a motion and a second?
motion?
Second,
Ms. Prince?
No,
yes.
Yes.
Yes,
No.
Yes.
Four,
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 two.
two, four, two.
All right, Commission, before us, we have S 8922, which is the Fifth Avenue Townhomes with no variance request that has been removed. Do I have a motion and a second?
Motion.
Second,
Ms. Hornsby?
yes,
Yes.
oh, yes,
yes.
Yes.
Yes. Motion approved.
I'll give just a moment.
Now in our audience.
All right, we'll go ahead and move on with S9122. This is Crimson Crossing, a resurvey of lots 22 through 24, 44 and 45, and 50 through 53 of Block A, WE, Bowers addition to Alberta City. This is consisting of 15 townhome lots and 2 open space lots on approximately 1.36 acres located at and around 2106 University Boulevard East, and this is in Council District 5. Here's the vicinity map and the zoning. It's zoned MX3, and it is kitty corner from the Tuscaloosa Gateway. And here's that aerial view of the properties. And here is that site plan. So we'll zoom in to the lower section, lots 1 through 7. Lots 1 through 3 front University, and then 4 through 7 front First Avenue East. And their setbacks are shown, and then showing the rest of the lots, 8 through 15. In the center here, that is currently an alley. They are proposing to expand that and dedicate that as right-of-way, paving a city street, which will give 13, 14, and 15 street frontage. Then their parking is within. And they have a total of 3 open space lots. And they are requesting a variance from street frontage for that open space lot 3 at the northern or the upper section of your page.
Engineering.
Engineering is okay with that.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, Al Cabinets, Cabinets Engineering, representing Brooks Mouchet, who's doing this development as Illuminating LLC. Haley's covered the plan for you. This is kind of a prominent lot as you enter Alberta City from the west. This is where the Rick's Hardware location was when I was a kid and before a lot of people's time in this room. But anyway, it was the place you went back then. So. But Brooks plans to redevelop this as townhomes. They're all 3-bedroom townhomes. Very nice layout, large living dining areas, large kitchens. They're more family, traditional oriented development. The only reason we've got that one variance, Brooks wanted to include some usable open space. So we've got an open space area there serving lots 1 through 7, another one serving lots 12 through 15. Just to meet the street frontage requirements, that open space lot is supposed to have public, frontage on a public street. There is an alley back there that of course gets us to a public street, but nonetheless, it's not part of our property. So that's the variance there. We're constructing a sidewalk that'll get here to a gazebo and a fire pit and just an open lawn area. So that's the purpose in that open space, purely to serve this development. That alley is not open. It's only platted 10 feet wide, dead ends into the J.C. Park ground, so it's really not usable. Zach Lawler, who owns the lot north of us there, talked to him. You can see from the drawing there, his fence is actually across the alley. He didn't construct it that way. So when he bought it, it was that way. But he does not currently access his property from that alley, but since he has that access now, he doesn't really want to lose it. So he's in favor of keeping the alley there. We're in favor of keeping the alley there. So I think it'll just remain an open grassed area.
Mr. Cabinets, on that alley there, what's the current condition of that alley right now?
To my knowledge, it never was paved, so it's just a grass surface.
And we're gonna keep it that way, right?
Just keep it that way.
Our concern was, I believe the church uses the parking
the church actually has overflow parking here.
Yeah. Okay. We still want that to be improved, and all of a sudden, people think that's a ingress and egress point from that parking lot.
Yeah, I mean, so I talked to Mr. Lawler myself. Brooks spoke with the church. If the church didn't really have an interest in buying their half of the alley, I don't think, I mean, if sometime in the future everybody wanted to get together and do it, maybe they could all get together. But right now, Brooks doesn't really need it, the church doesn't need it, and Mr. Lawler would like to maintain his public access.
Fair enough. Sorry to interrupt you there. Go ahead.
Anyway, so it is an MX zone, so this is a street configuration that works there. There's a lot of existing infrastructure there. So it's a 60-inch storm sewer pipe and box culverts and sanitary sewers. So you can see the sanitary sewer layout. I'm accessing south of and north of that 60-inch reinforced concrete pipes because I do not want to cross under it. So, but we've got the sewer plan worked out. Storm drainage detention would be underground in those two open space areas. I think that, unless you have any questions, that's really it. His plan is to build units 1 through 7 first, kind of anchor the development. It'll greatly improve the looks of that area, and then second phase, of course, would be the north side. I have spoken with Councilman Tyner. He's very excited about this as well.
Any questions for petitioner?
Mr. Cabinet, how does this one feel?
I'm sorry?
How does this one feel?
How's this one feel?
This project. So many times you bring projects up here that are really tight and
yeah,
they're pretty hard on you, but this is a good project. I like your layout. Your layout looks good. I want to compliment you on it. I think it fits the area.
Well, thank you. This one,
I'm pretty hard on you sometimes, but I don't compliment you.
I noticed that. There are.
Is that on the record?
That's on the record.
Yeah, this one's a little tight, so it is hard to make all that
you
work.
got a lot of, with the utilities and things, you've got a lot to work around, but you've done a good job of it.
Yeah, there's not much ground. I'm not putting something
This
under
one's
right now.
one I can be proud to approve.
But we went at Alexander Architects doing the architecture, and the plans really do look nice.
I'm sure this will be a great benefit to Alberta City.
It'll be good for Alberta City.
The way you've got it situated, what I've seen of the project, I think it'll be a good gateway to Alberta City.
Right, thank you.
Any other questions? Anyone sign up for or against? Anyone care to speak for or against this petition? Okay, having heard none. Commission, for us we have S9122 Crimson Crossings, 15 townhome lots and 2 open space lots on 1.36 acres located at 2106 University Boulevard. 1 variance request on street frontage for the open space lot 3. Do I have a motion and a second?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Mrs. Prince?
Yes?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes, motion approved.
Last item we have for continued cases is S9222. This is the Seals Place subdivision. It's consisting of 2 residential lots on approximately 4.5 acres located at 4809 and 4815 Cumberland Road. This is not in city limits. Here's the vicinity map. It's north of Lynn Haven, adjacent to city limits. And here is that aerial view. Here's their plat with contours and without. So this is to give each residence their own lot. They're giving about, I think that's 3 acres to lot 1. It is 1 acre. Zooming in so that we can see that a little bit better. Going on to our, oh, sorry, forgive me. Looking a little bit closer at the existing homes, you see the minimum build lines built around. And here's the southern portion of lot 2, which will be 3.5 acres. They do have a sewer easement running through. And they're requesting capped sewer, sidewalks, right-of-way, public street frontage, lot configuration, and half-street improvements.
engineering.
It's fairly normal to ask for variances and engineering not have an issue with the cap sewer, sidewalks, half-street improvements in certain conditions. I want to go on record as saying I'm an advocate for providing public street frontage where it's possible. And this is just a very unique situation. They don't own any public street frontage or a means to provide it to either one of the lots. So with that said, and with this being county maintained, OCE is in agreement with the waiver for public street frontage as well.
And they have received their county waivers.
Say again?
They have received their county waivers.
We have received documentation on that? Okay. Any more questions for staff? Petitioner.
Robert McPherson, 4121 Devassy Drive, here on the behalf of Glenda Reams, the owner of the property. She has inherited part of the property from her mother, which had the new house, and inherited the other part from her late husband. They were both on one parcel, actually, at the time of the construction of the new house anyway. So what her purpose is to divide the property up where she can sell it, and there's a prescriptive right-of-way going into the property, into the area that belongs to the property across the road, and there's a separation of about 12 or a little bit more feet between the prescriptive right-of-way and her property, and we have a variance from Tuscaloosa County covering that part, and we have a recorded easement of 30 foot on each one of the individual properties. Other than that, that's about it.
How does Lot 1 currently access is there a drive there now?
Do what?
Is there on Lot 1? That's the one we're splitting off.
There is a driveway to both of them, and there was a mortgage survey made on, and they were only like 15 feet at the time, or 12 feet at the time. And so that's why we had to get a larger entry, and it was currently under probate, and the trustee gave us the 30 foot for each lot.
Any other question for petitioner? Thank you. Anyone sign up for or against this petition? I don't believe they did. Anyone care to speak for or against this request? Okay, having heard none. Commission, before us we have S9222 Seals Place subdivision with 6 variance requests, cap sewer, sidewalks, right-of-way, dedication, public street frontage, lot configuration, half street improvements. Unique circumstances engineering has no issues with this. Do I have a motion and a second? Motion. Ms. Hornsby?
Yes.
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 Yes, motion approved.
All right, flipping over to the back side of our agenda, we will go on with our the only companion case we have left for the evening, which is companion case A. It consists of a subdivision and a rezoning, and we'll begin with the subdivision. This is S9422 Interstate Parkway, subdivision phase 2. This is consisting of 3 lots on approximately 82.6 acres located west of 6500 Interstate Parkway. This is in Council District 6. Here's the vicinity map just off of the highway, off of I-20. And here's an aerial view. Here's that plat with contours. Oh, I meant without. This is the one with. And zooming in here, the rezoning case will just be focusing on proposed lot 2 and proposed lot 1. And there are no variance requests for this case. Any questions on this before we move on? Okay, Z2922, Cannon and Crow are petitioning to rezone approximately 5.88 acres located west of 6500 Interstate Parkway from ML to BH. Again, here's that vicinity map and the aerial view. And then this is right next to the Tuscaloosa Chevrolet. So this rezoning is to rezone to BH, which will be appropriate for their intended addition, which will be for a construction care facility. Not construction, it'll be for cars. Here is that land. Yes, this is for the Commercial Vehicle Service Center. And then here's a site plan of what that would look like. And this does conform to framework. Framework identifies this as corridor commercial. And here's that future land use character map and the permitted uses within BH. Do you have any questions for staff before the petitioner comes? And just to be clear, this is to rezone everything you see in light purple within the red.
That's all going to say ML.
So it'll be part of the existing site as well.
And that's necessary because of the nature of the business.
That's right.
Any more questions for petitioner? For staff, sorry.
Thanks.
Petitioner.
Good evening. Again, I'm Jimmy Duncan with Duncan Coker Associates. To correct something that Haley said, this rezoning is only for proposed Lot 1. This does not include Lot 2.
Wait, Lot 1 or Lot 2?
I'm sorry, Lot 2, yes, sir.
Lot 2, yeah. So Lot 1 and 3 are going to remain
ML, that's correct.
Okay.
We originally, just as a note, we originally, when we had our pre-design, this project only included proposed Lot 1 and Lot 2. After discussions with Mr. Gardner, we included Lot 3 such that it wouldn't end up being an unplatted remnant. So Lot 3 is included just by virtue of not leaving an unplatted deed remnant. No proposed improvements for Lot 3 whatsoever.
So that's a view of Lot 2 right there, correct?
That's correct.
You go back out to, we can see the Lot 1 and 2 a little bit on a visual, not this drawing, but it's an aerial of that. Right there.
So all we're rezoning is Lot 2.
Yes, sir.
In the existing portion of Tuscaloosa Chevy.
There is a portion, Mr. Harrison, that is, could you go back one slide? So the Tuscaloosa Chevrolet campus is on the right margin of the screen. The main dealership is the building there, centrally located. So if you draw a line, I'll draw a line. Kind of right there. There was a strip of Tuscaloosa Chevrolet's property that for one reason or another was not rezoned to BH when the parkway was built. So this gets proposed Lot 2 as well as cleaning up that.
I understand that. Jimmy, that it looks like there's the access or something into the new Lot 1. Is that, what is that? I saw that on a couple of the drawings.
So there was, and this is, Mr. Harrison, again, I think this is a tax map error. We talked with county engineer, and we've got email verification of it.
That's not an easement or anything.
No, sir.
Okay.
It was, my guess is that it's the old Buttermilk Road is what it coincides with. But again, when the parkway was built, there was a lot going on.
Yeah.
That road was vacated. The county verified they have no interest in trying to stake a claim for right-of-way that's going through the middle of this site.
Okay.
Any more questions for Mr. Duncan? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, we had several people sign up on S-9422, Ms. Joan Barth.
gonna save you some time and do a twofer for you.
While we're doing twofers, you sign up for both cases.
Yeah, but
You-
we're gonna speak together one time.
Okay, for all of it, right?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough.
We don't want to come up more than
I don't want
once.
to see you 4 times.
You could,
I
if you
could,
like
but-
us, but we'll just go once.
Once is enough.
I'm Joan Barth, 5541 Woodbury Lane.
John Justin, 5426 Overbrook Road.
So we're tonight representing the Woodland Forest Association of Homeowners. And so if you look to the very southern part of that Lot 3, it dead ends in our neighborhood, Overbrook Road and Locust. And so that's what brings us here today, is the concern about this Lot 3. So we don't really have issues so much with this Lot 1 and the rezoning there. That's not too near us. But we would like to know if there are plans and what they are for Lot 2. And it doesn't sound like there's anything. I'm sorry, it's Lot 1.
3?
It's
Lot
Lot
1 or
1.
3? Yeah.
Lot 1, right? Yes, Lot 1. I would be curious what's going on there. And then also if there are plans for Lot 3.
And that little area in the bottom left is where it contacts our neighborhood. And we're also interested, I've talked with a number of the landowners there, just what sort of protections, what sort of buffers are there between these sorts of commercial, industrial developments and residential neighborhoods? What sort of protections do the landowners have there?
On Lot 3.
Yeah, down at where our folks border this property. Thank you.
So I think we need to get the engineer to come, or the engineer to come up here and talk to you about that, but I would, based on the topography and issues you have up against what I see as far as, I guess that's the floodway fringe or something, I don't think you got anything to worry about. We'll let him come up and say that. How about that?
I mean, that's exactly why we're concerned.
Right.
Because of
Right.
if something's developed there, it's going to disrupt that and cause potentially pretty big drainage problems.
I understand.
So are there, but let's pretend it was flat land and no drainage problem. What sort of buffers are required between commercially type developed property and residential?
It's light manufacturing right now. Staff, I mean, just for the record, so they know.
Yeah, I'll pull it up here.
And presumably, in the new framework, right, plan, there'll be new things then. And when you start to develop those, cover those, we haven't looked at those right yet. As far as I know, I've been following the plan. Think of this. This is a big concern for us. If there's not enough buffer or contingencies in place for this, it will create significant issues.
And while I think you would love to get it out of ML for sure at some point. That'd be
Yeah, and the properties to the west of it they're in the county. In the future land use plan, that should be residential. So the properties that are behind Overbrook, which is that road, that'll that should all be residential in the future, and that's going to give us a considerable amount of comfort.
Yep. So for an ML district, light industrial district, the minimum side or rear yard with abutting a residence district shall be 15 feet plus 1 foot for every foot by which the height of the building exceeds 15 feet. We're cleaning that up in framework, but we are,
Thank God.
I think there's definitely going to be significant buffers there from a
I would think
residential
there would need
district.
to be.
Yeah, next to R1.
All right, so we want to improve that. But then maybe the petitioner could come up and address what the plans are for, I keep saying, call it Lot 2, but Lot 1 there. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I think that's all we have signed up.
Anyone else care to, before Mr. Duncan comes back up, anyone else care to speak for, against, or raise any issues on these petitions? Mr. Duncan?
So let's start with Lot 3. As I mentioned, there are no plans for improvement, anything whatsoever on Lot 3. It's part of the subdivision just out of necessity. To Zach's point about the buffers on Lot 3, directly adjacent to a residential, I mean, this is not your average scenario. We've got a flood hazard, significant flood hazard risk, jurisdictional wetlands that are going to be in the way. So who knows? I mean, it might not be in my lifetime when Lot 3 is developed. It's that encumbered. Proposed Lot 1, I'm not at liberty to speak of what's being proposed there. But it is something that's fitting in it, ML, and it's more consistent of a commercial use than manufacturing.
Any other questions for Mr. Duncan? Not sure if that answered your question, but I think it gives you some protection of what their long-term plans are, or lack thereof. Thank you. Again, anyone else care to speak for or against? All right, having heard none, Commission, before us, we have companion case starting with S-9422, Interstate Parkway subdivision, consisting of 3-lot subdivision. No variance request. Do I have a motion and a second?
Motion approved.
Ms. Prince?
Yes.
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 Yes, motion approved. Commission, Z-2922, Cannon and Crow. Petitions to rezone 5.8 acres, which is lot 3, lot 2. Lot 2, from ML to BH. Do I have a motion and a second?
Motion.
Ms. Hornsby?
Yes.
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 Yes, motion approved.
We have 2 standalone rezoning cases for you this evening, and we'll begin with Z3022. Barbara Thompson petitions to rezone approximately 0.1 acres located at 2115 Foster's Ferry Road from BN to R4. This is in Council District 1. Here's the aerial view, just adjacent to Stillman Heights Elementary. Here's an aerial view of the property, and here is that property. This is a single-family home, always has been. Here's that adjacent western property, zoned R4, as well as the southern property, also zoned R4. And this is just to allow for the continued use of the single-family residence structure. This does conform to framework. Framework identifies this as traditional neighborhood edge, which includes small lot, single family. Here's that future land use character map and the permitted uses within R4. Any questions for staff?
Ma'am.
Okay.
Petitioner.
Good evening. I'm Barbara Thompson, 2115 Foster's Ferry Road, Tuscaloosa.
I'm her daughter, Camelia Thompson, 2115 Foster Ferry Road.
I think this is a pretty clear case of what we're trying to do here. You have any comments or want to make any remarks?
No, this was my family home. I grew up here and I would just like to keep it. If it's residential, then I can get the money to keep it.
Right.
Ms. Thompson, this may be the easiest case we got.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm about to say, sorry I waited so long.
You just got a good education in civic duties tonight, right?
You understand what you're trying to do, and I think you're going to see we're going to take care of you on this.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anyone care to speak for or against this petition? Didn't think so. All right, Commission. Pretty easy case here. We have Z3022. Ms. Thompson. Petition.
We got someone want to speak?
Yes, I'm her neighbor, and we want to keep it resident.
Yes, ma'am.
So I don't know who brought it on, but we want to keep it the way it is.
It's going to be. You just watch.
I wish I could place odds on this vote.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the winner here.
All right, thank you.
Good
Hey.
evening. I'm
Hey.
Louis Belton. I've been over that area, and I was raised over there, and I've been there for about 60-some years. I think the neighborhood should stay like it is.
You want to make it a neighborhood still?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else want to support this? You don't need to, but you can. All right, commission. Ms. Thompson has cases Z 3022. She wants to rezone her property from B into R4. Do I have a motion and a second?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Ms. Prince?
Yes?
Yes.
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 Yes. Motion approved.
What now? I know, it wouldn't that be nice?
Why can't that be on consent agenda? Staff can handle that.
Would have been happy to.
I know.
Alrighty, next up, we have Z 3122, Bill Edwards petitions to rezone approximately half an acre located at 1425 Hargrove Road East from BGO to RMF1. This is in Council District 6. Here's that vicinity map, just north of Bowers Park. And here is that aerial view. And here is the subject property. Adjacent western property is zoned R2, and eastern is zoned RMF1. They are requesting this to be rezoned back to RMF1 to revert back to its original zoning. This property was previously rezoned to BGO back in 2018. This does not necessarily conform to framework because framework identifies this as limited commercial. However, that likely was due to the fact that it was rezoned to BGO. So when we did that initial survey, saw that that was a commercial property. So just wanted to give that preface. And then here are those permitted uses within RMF1. Do you have any questions for staff?
Was that 2018 you rezoned that? Good gosh. That's when doctor was going to make it a doctor's office or something.
Yeah, that's right.
Can't barely remember that. Okay, thank you.
So it was BG, it's currently BGO and they won't go back to RMF1.
That's right.
Yep. All right. Any questions for staff? Petitioner?
My name is Bill Edwards, 3501 Grand Arbor Drive.
Just out of curiosity, why RMF1 as opposed to the adjoining?
I'm sorry?
The other zoning on the other side is what? Go back to the zoning map, please.
On the east of it is Cheryl's Apartments.
Right. That's, so you're wanting to go to the zoning of that as opposed to R2.
That's the RMF1.
That's
and then
right.
we're immediately to the west of that.
West of that.
Mr. Edwards,
So what the situation was is that Dr. Reddy was using that as a medical office. I believe it's a testing office. He no longer has that for a need. Asked us to manage that property, then realizing that he had it rezoned to BGO, I came back to get it back to the previous RMF1. He does not have any plans for it. Matter of fact, he's had it on the market to sell for quite some time. It's been removed from the market and wants us to now manage it.
manage the existing facility?
Yes. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house.
But is there any, is there any intentions to do anything else on that property?
He does not have anything at this time. It's a narrow lot. It's only about 70 or 75 feet, but it's a deep lot.
Yeah.
So the request is just to go back to the previous zoning.
Okay. Any questions for petitioner? Okay. Thank you, sir. Anyone sign up for, anyone care to speak for or against this petition? Okay. Having heard none. Commission, before us we have request for Z 3122, Mr. Edwards petition to rezone 1425 Hargrove Road East back from BGO back to RMF1. Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Hornsby?
Yes.
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 Yes. Motion approved.
Thank
Alrighty, moving on to our preliminary plats for the evening. We'll begin with S 9722. This is Encore Tuscaloosa, consisting of 2 commercial lots on approximately 36.2 acres, located at 900 Skyland Boulevard East in Council District 7. Here's that vicinity map right at the intersection of McFarland and I-20. And here's that aerial view. And here's the plat with contours and without. This is the existing McFarland Mall site, and it's to parcel out 1.34 acres at the bottom of your screen for Lot 2. This will be that new lot created. And they are requesting sidewalks along Skyland and a drainage study.
Engineering on the variance request?
We're in favor of those requests.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for staff? Thank you. Petitioner?
Stan Pate, 1301 Industrial Park Drive. I think it's pretty straightforward, but Mr. Chairman, I brought a young man with me, Axel, from Sweden. He said he wanted to come over and visit America for 30 days, and look where he winds up if you hang around me. But he's a really smart young man. Stand up, Axel. He's shy. But anyway, this is just a lot we're dividing off of the McFarland property. And it's the start of a lot that'll be talked about in the coming months with this particular site. And so we appreciate the commission granting this subdivision so we can get started with what I think we've all been waiting for. Certainly me.
On Lot 2, you got a planned use for it?
You'll be happy with it. We're under confidentiality agreement. I'd be happy to speak to the commission about the use, but obviously it's a commercial use, and I'd like to talk more about this project. There's multiple things going on right now that we're working, some with planning and so forth. But,
there's obviously a lot of interest in that parcel there.
Yeah, yes, and we put a lot of money a couple of years ago in with the State Highway Department looking at some improvements. And we hope a former Auburn football coach, believe it or not, is going to do some pretty good things to see that we get some money down there. That's the intersection is one of the highest, if not the highest, accident intersections in the state of Alabama. And we get some funding. And I think we can get some funding through some earmarking to really begin some important things in the transportation infrastructure. But I mean, all this is going to take time and a lot of hard work, but the project itself has got a lot of traction. So,
Like to see something happen. You would too, right? Any other comments?
I guess, it's like fine wine, it gets better with time. If you're going to be in the business I'm in, you better treat it like wine, fine wine. Any questions?
No, pretty cut and dry, pretty straightforward. So we appreciate it.
And again, young man back here, smart young man. He picked the wrong school, but we'll see.
Well, glad he's here though. Okay, anyone care to speak for or against this request, this petition? All right, having heard none. Commission, before us we have S 9722 Encore Tuscaloosa, 2-lot subdivision. 2 variance request sidewalks along Skyland, and the drainage study engineering has no issues with. Do I have a motion and a second?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Ms. Prince?
Yes.
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 Yes?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, motion approved.
Next case, we have S 9822. This is the resurvey of Lot 4 of Site A of the Tuscaloosa Industrial Park Number 1. It's consisting of 2 industrial lots on approximately 15.4 acres located at 1401 Industrial Park Drive, and this is in Council District 1. Here's that vicinity map. It's right near the airport. And here's the aerial view of the property. Here's that plat with contours and without. So this is to create 2 lots from what they currently have, and it's currently 1. Lot 4A will be 10.5 acres, and lot 4B will be 4.8. They're requesting lot configuration, a drainage study, as well as sidewalks.
Engineering,
We're okay with those requests.
do you have any more questions for staff? Petitioner,
Mr. Chairman and Board, my current office is at 1301, which is the next property to the south. Recently, a company by the name of Farishi, which was here, I don't know how many years, left the building. The building was auctioned off. We bought the building. We're welcoming a company by the name of Epsilon, a Canadian company that's going to be occupying the building starting. They already are leasing the building. They expect to start occupying in January. And there is some excess undeveloped property there. And they, hopefully we'll construct another building there. They don't need that property. We may ultimately need that property with, I think everybody knows that I'm seeking a medical marijuana license. And we're going to need a grow manufacturing facility. So we would be putting that in 1301 is what we're proposing in our application. If we do that, there's probably going to be somewhere around 150 or 200 people. So we'll probably need to just add a parking lot there. But we want to make sure that vacant land, we reserve it to give some flexibility to 1301 or to be able to develop an additional building.
Where the lot itself, Mr. Pate, 4B, does it go, how are you gonna access it? I'm assuming through the current parking lot. Are you gonna need dedicated access?
That's not accurate, evidently.
The map that's on the screen doesn't show all of Lot 4B.
Yeah.
There is a portion of frontage,
So you got frontage on industrial?
yeah,
park.
yeah,
Okay,
you do.
So that's where you're gonna access.
Below that parking lot, yes.
Yeah, it's off the page.
And the only other question I had, I'm assuming y'all checked the covenants, park covenants, there's no issues with them subdividing?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Well, we're working with IDA with Max reference what might happen there. I mean, you know a lot about the park, obviously, and we're excited about Epsilon.
Yeah.
They're going to be doing HVAC design and manufacturing for automotive and for hospitals. And they'll start out with about 30 employees and nice high-paying jobs. But again, the undeveloped acreage between the two properties over time will either be an additional building, which is desperately needed in this community. There is no industrial properties available. And I can tell you this property was highlighted. I was surprised. I got a call today in one of the business journals and discussion about real estate and about, well, the rent we achieved here and just how strong the Tuscaloosa market is today. But again, hopefully we'll get the medical marijuana license. It'll be about a year before we know. Applications are due at the end of the month. And it's going to take about a year for them to evaluate applications. And then there are 5 licenses they're going to issue. The building in my office is perfect for, it'll be about 50,000 square feet of indoor grow of marijuana in a secure location. And then you'll have manufacturing, extraction, because that's what you do with the plant, you extract the oil out of it. And then product manufacturing, packaging. And then ultimately, with a license. It's 5 dispensaries, and I'm proposing a dispensary in Tuscaloosa as one of the locations, which will be on 15th Street next to Guthrie's in that building that has been the Vitamax building. So we're pretty excited about it. The city's been very supportive. But again, you have 150, 200 folks out there. The park's already challenged to buildings and the need for parking. Our neighbor is expanding as well across the street. So again, we're excited. We recognize that we are an industrial park, and that's a significant phase of my business these days. And but we're going to be patient with this property.
Thank you, sir. Anyone care to speak for or against this proposal? All right, Commission. Before us, we have bring out variance requests. Yes, there they are. S 9822, resurvey of Lot 4, Site A, the Industrial Park number 1. We have 3 variance requests: lot configuration, drainage study, sidewalks. Engineering has no issues with. Do I have a motion and a second?
Motion. Second.
Ms. Hornsby?
Yes?
Yes.
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 Yes, motion approved.
All right, next case. All right, we have S 9922, Mapco Hackberry Lane. This is consisting of 2 commercial lots on approximately 4.4 acres located at 500 through 520 15th Street. This is in Council District 4. Here's a vicinity map of the property. It's right at the intersection of 15th and Hackberry. And here is an aerial view. Here is that plat with contours and without, so they're taking this 1 commercial lot and not splitting it completely in half, but they're splitting it into 2. Lot 2 will be a little over an acre, and lot 1 will be at 3.4. And they are requesting lot configuration.
Engineering.
We don't have an issue with the lot configuration.
Any other questions for staff? Thank you. Petitioner?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'm Michael McGuire, I'm McGuire and Associates, Division of GSA. Lot 1 is basically going to be a MAPCO. That MAPCO is actually who I represent. Lot 2, we don't have any plans for, or our client doesn't have any plans for right now. I believe they've covered everything. All the infrastructure's in place on the site: storm, sewer, water. And of course, we'll have to have an LDP when we get into the engineering and design. If y'all have any questions?
Mr. McGuire, Lot 1 is how many acres?
3.4.
And it's gonna be a MAPCO?
Yes, sir.
I don't think a MAPCO is gonna eat it. Why would you ask for lot configuration and do that small access into Lot 2? I know it's joint ownership, but, I mean, why not give them a straight line through there?
Well,
enlighten me, please.
Well, MAPCO wants basically pretty much will use all of Lot 1. Lot 2, just because of the configuration and the out parcels there at the southeast. I mean, we just did the 20-foot strip coming back.
So if MAPCO ever decided to sell that off as a separate lot, it's limited access. I mean, it renders it useless.
Right. Well, I mean, we'll certainly have some sort of ingress, egress easement and then some cross-reciprocating agreement for ingress and egress with the 2 parcels, I would think. And of course, we'd address that in our LDP as well.
It's a lot easier to draw a straight line than a crooked line.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can.
I don't know.
I'm just doing what
I just
my
didn't
clients
understand that.
clients
doing
asked
what
me
you
to
told
do.
I understand, but I don't understand. So Maybe there's a reason.
Will Aiken, 2848 Five Oaks Lane, Birmingham. I'm with the ownership group, Capital Growth Real Estate. This is going to have a declaration recorded between the two lots, and that's going to address everything. This is the way MAPCO wanted it. It met the subdivision regulations. And so there'll be a recorded access that'll be connecting Lot 2 over to Hackberry, and then there'll be part of the access will be on the Lot 2 property, and then part of it will be on Lot 1 connecting to 15th, but it's all in a declaration that will handle that and be recorded at closing. That's the way MAPCO wanted it, even though I agree, it's odd. But it met the subdivision regulations, and that's what they wanted, and we're just trying to figure out the deal to get this nasty building.
So you're asking us to approve something that's ugly?
Well, and a quick correction, it also doesn't meet the subdivision regulations, which
Pardon
is
me?
a quick correction. It doesn't meet the subdivision regulations. Does not, which is why he's
Okay.
asking for a lot configuration variance.
So now you're asking us to approve something that's ugly and doesn't meet subdivision regulations.
I wasn't aware it didn't meet that regulation.
I
thought
wouldn't
it
either
did.
till just now, and I sure did like hearing it.
Yeah. Is the declaration gonna be noted on the final, this two-lot subdivision? Okay.
Basically, we'd have to, well, yeah, I guess we'd have to have it recorded, the
what-
declaration itself.
Why does it meet?
Before the plat, but I don't see a reason why we can't.
Doesn't meet
I'm
it,
sorry.
that's why they're asking for
I
it.
don't, when we say declaration, I mean, is this an access easement that they're gonna record? I don't.
I was reviewing it today. It's about 15-page legal declaration that addresses easements, use restrictions. It's a very thorough document that will be recorded prior to the closing.
Yeah.
So the way I see this happening is we won't see the outline of the cross-access agreements drawn on the plat itself, but in a note referring maybe to this declaration by deed reference, is what I suspect.
I don't think it's that uncommon. I mean, Mike would, I mean, you can certainly ask Mike. but I mean-
Yeah, Mike, it might not be uncommon, but when you have, it just doesn't favor anything. I mean, when you have this large a lot and you're gonna put a map on one side, and to make a quick 20-degree right-hand turn for access, I understand declarations, and I mean, looks like to me it'd been a lot less trouble to just draw a straight line, but it's getting late. I don't beat this horse to death.
Any other comments or questions from commission to this petitioner? Anyone sign up?
No.
Anyone in the audience care to speak for or against this petition? Okay, having heard none. Commission, before us, we have.
I got a question.
Fire away.
Does it or does it not meet our requirements? He said it did, you said it didn't.
Yeah, so it's real simple. That's why they have to ask for a variance request, is because it doesn't meet the requirements. So it does not.
The way the law.
If it did, it would be consent agenda.
Sorry?
They would not be asking for any variances if it did meet the subdivision regulations.
And we do variances all the time for lot configuration, but under this term and condition, I didn't understand why it was being that way. I'll go back to the staff and say, based on the declaration that we're gonna saddle this document with, or saddle this plat with, are we okay with?
I've always considered lot configuration more of a planning matter than an engineering matter.
So you just handed the football down that way.
I punted,
I got
yes.
you. I got you.
Wouldn't
Yeah,
they
so
need a,
we-
wouldn't they, even if they'd drawn that line straight, wouldn't they still need a lot configuration?
So, yeah,
Waiver?
in
Yeah,
lot
so-
configuration, there's two things
Right.
that we noted here. That
It'd
one,
still be a
we're-
flag lot.
One, we're creating a flag lot, and two, we're creating lines that don't run perpendicular to the street that it accesses from. So, even if that lot line was running straight back, it would still be a flag lot. So
So we're
really,
basic-
they're asking for this for two reasons.
So in reality, what's gonna happen is Lot 2 is gonna be unusable, and we're gonna have one of the most highly trafficked area of Tuscaloosa that has potential for a huge tax revenue, and we're gonna make it 0 on Lot 2. I mean, that's what it boils down to. Speak to it.
I've been working on this project since 2012, and I'm very familiar with it. Lot 2 is fully usable. It's going to have a cross-access easement across for two-way traffic all the way to Hackberry. We'll have utility easements going all the way to Hackberry that will be stubbed in as soon as this building's demolished, which will be 60 days from closing on the property. Okay? So we'll have two-way access to Hackberry. It'll have two-way access onto 15th, both in a recordable document. So no matter where the lines are, it's fully usable. Lot 1s and 2 are usable.
So again, why not follow the subdivision regulations and straighten the line out?
I
mean,
think
you've been
Matt-
working- How long you been working on this?
What's that?
2012?
I've been working on this. We bought this property in 2012 or 13.
2012?
Yes,
So
sir.
why not follow the subdivision regulations?
This was a decision made by MAPCO. They were running point on the replat. So I think they wanted to keep their property looking as large as it possibly could to make it look better for comparable purposes for their price they're paying for the property.
That 20-foot offset right there on,
There's no other
Right.
reason to do it, but it really doesn't impact any of the development because these are recorded easements in a declaration. So it might be a variance to get that flag lot. It just allows them to keep more of their own real estate. But in all actuality, it doesn't make a difference because everything in the declaration, I mean, we're retaining that lot. We want to suck as much value out of that as we can to make the numbers work.
so I'll say it does make a difference because it doesn't follow our subdivision regulations.
But
Makes a
even if
difference
it-
to us.
Even if it didn't have a jag, it wouldn't follow the subdivision. It wouldn't, right.
I believe we asked staff if they thought it would be, if they saw it as an issue, from what I know from our engineers, and they didn't seem to think that it would make a difference since we had a recorded declaration, and so I believe MAPCO just proceeded to keep it the way they already had it the whole time.
Okay.
It'll just delay the demolition and the development, but it can always go back, I guess, and be redrawn if that's what you guys prefer.
Thank you.
Any more questions for staff or engineering? They kind of threw it all down on you guys, didn't they? Planning.
It's up to y'all if y'all want to approve this lot configuration variance.
I mean, the flag lot in this area, that gives me a little bit of heartburn.
We just don't never approve flag lots, and here we got one right in the middle of, like Mr. Pate said, one of the busiest places in Tuscaloosa and maybe the state.
Okay, I have a question then. How could they draw this and comply with the regs? I mean, I mean, if they need this big a parcel to put their gas station on, I don't know any other way that they could get street frontage. Unless I mean, if they divided it up, like just halved it that way,
Well,
then they won't have enough room for their gas station, but they get access to Hackberry, both lots.
I don't know that it's necessary to be access to Hackberry. They're getting access to 15th Street, but it's unrealistic access because you can't use it.
Right.
You can't use it for an access unless you, because of the 90 degree or whatever it is.
So right
If that
now,
widening could-
you used to be able to come out onto 15th from when it was the bowling alley there.
So
If
part of, I guess part of my concern and with the, is that, I mean, we don't know what the configuration is gonna look like on lot one as far as hey, we're gonna have a declaration to let somebody come across our property. So they could put the gas pumps on that line and make it not accessible. Maybe if we had a drawing, you could tell us a little bit more about it, but I mean, we're kind of proving the unknown here.
Any other thoughts or comments?
Well, I'm just not sure it makes that much difference. If they're satisfied with the piece of property that they're retaining is usable, and we're not doing anything that makes it not usable. I don't know. I can't tell if it's a distinction without a difference. I mean, I understand it's not completely without a difference, but I don't know that it's worth sending them back and rejecting it just because it makes more sense to us to be slightly different.
What, Mike? Back up here, let me ask you a couple questions. I just noticed the two proposed 20-foot public sanitary sewer act easements. Why you have one of them's a storm sewer and one of them sanitary?
They're actually in place now. There's existing storm sewer and sanitary sewer. There's just like I think one of them doesn't even have an easement, so we're actually going to record them as part of this plat.
I mean, is that part, are you classifying this lot as unbuildable because of those easements? Is that why you're trying to do this?
No.
Give me something to grab here.
Well, I mean, there's existing sanitary sewer and storm sewer in those two easements. It's there now, so we're required to have a 20-foot easement, so we're actually dedicated. I don't think there's actually a recorded easement. Is that correct? I don't think there's a recorded easement, so we're going to record them as part of our plat.
Typically, when we when we approve a flag lot, it's because of a hardship or something. This one, to me, it just doesn't look like a hardship.
Tim, all I can tell you is, I mean, that lot's useless to them if they don't have ingress and egress to lot.
I understand that.
I mean, and they're certainly going to cover their bases. And we can certainly prepare the documents, send them to Jimbo, let Jimbo look over and make sure that everything's, complies and make sure that we're doing what we're telling you we're going to do.
Yeah, typically when we approve projects or things like this, we do ask for that. That's no different than what we've done in the past, but I mean, and again, we try to follow our precedents here, and I don't understand.
And again, all I can tell you is MAPCO's, like he said, taking point on this, so they're our client.
So is there enough room between the two easements to build something?
I mean, it's going to be a much-needed improvement to this site.
Pardon me?
It's going to be a much-needed improvement to this site.
Look, I agree. Do you have a drawing
of the MAPCO?
I can get you a drawing right now if you want it. I have it on email.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
The buildings are all going on the corner. And then regarding the Lot 2 easements that you talked about, we aren't going to move any of those or do anything until we know what's going on that lot. And then we'll have to look at that. We have no idea where they need to be today.
So potentially you'll move the easements?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. When we know what goes there, but today we don't know.
I'm defeated.
So, Commission, regarding what he just said, all of the buildings being placed on the corner, that's, I mean, going again to that reason, we question why it needs to be a flag lot. If the buildings are being pushed to the corner of 15th and Hackberry, why not give additional room to Lot 2? I know they say that that's what MAPCO wants, but I'm just justifying the need for the variance.
So what we could do here is, if you guys want justification for this, y'all could request or they could request to continue, give you justification, or they could move the lot line to where it's straight and then we don't have this problem.
Is the difference in square feet that you've got here, including proposed row and excluding proposed row? What does that mean?
That's a side Hackberry future expansion that the city's requested to take some right away.
Oh, okay.
That's the difference in the 3.41 to the 3.
Right.
But Zach, back to what you were saying, it still doesn't eliminate the flag lot situation, though.
So it's still going to be a flag lot either way if you go
Right.
straight down. But it would meet the subdivision regulations with lot arrangement because it's a straight line perpendicular or to straight street lines. So they would be essentially, as long as they're meeting their minimum street frontage, they could do that without the variance.
They could do this without a variance.
They could do that without the variance if it went straight back.
I mean, that's what we were talking about originally. You know, that would clean it up.
It's still gonna work the same between MAPCO and us owning Lot 2, either, whether it's straight or whether it goes right, it's all gonna be the same because of this recorded declaration. And this has been a disaster of a project because of AlDOT closing our other access point on 15th. It's really been, I just don't want MAPCO to go away. I mean, time kills deals.
Could we approve this with the contingent on the declaration, or that's a kind of conditional approval?
You could, but you would also be approving the variance for lot
Oh, I got you.
configuration.
I got you. All right.
Could we continue to next month?
Well,
Let
they'd
Jimbo get
have
the-
to ask for the continuance.
Let Jimbo get the declaration he's talking about, look at it, and give them opportunity to ask for the straight line. And then they wouldn't have to start all over again.
I'm not sure anybody here tonight has the authority to approve the regular lot line.
No, that's what I'm saying, could
The changes,
they ask
yeah.
for a continuance
Sure.
the next
They
month?
can ask for a continuance.
And get all this done, and you
Yes.
get the
I'll be glad to look at it
declaration he
for him.
keeps talking about it, look at it, you and Mike.
Yep.
And determine the road that's supposed to hit Hackberry, and see if they can get them to go along with straightening that line. I got a problem with the flag lot.
No, I
Because
guess-
Mr. Harrison always
Yeah,
says, you don't want to set any precedents that you don't have to.
If part of the presentation, in my opinion, should have been the layout, if we're gonna ask for that, so we could see how you would propose to access it, so.
The access isn't changing on the 15th. It'll be the same.
I understand.
Okay.
I think AlDOT's gonna govern that.
What's that?
AlDOT's governing that, as you said.
They are, and they've approved that full access staying in place with the median cut.
Well, you've heard our thoughts. I mean, you have the right to ask for contingent or ask for a vote.
I'm not asking
Okay.
for anything.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, I don't know that I really, I mean, I'd have to ask my client that, they're not here. I know that we've gone this far, and I know that met with staff, I thought all this was worked out, so it's kind of a surprise to me. I know we can do what we're talking about doing, I don't see an issue with it. It's, like you're saying, it's not gonna change anything other than extending that straight line back. And either way you look at it, it's still gonna be a flag lot. The only thing it's gonna do is delay the project and potentially kill it. So,
The risk you take, Mike, is a month versus 6 months, right?
How does it work? Can you explain that?
If you ask for a continuance, you can come back with additional information we've asked. You can come back next month.
All right, continuance requested.
I think you should.
All right.
You good?
I think that's
Safe.
wise.
Very clear. Yeah, that's it.
Good decision.
I continue.
So you've heard our concerns, Mike, and you'll take it up with MAPCO. All right.
Thank you.
Commission, before us, we have a continuance request for S9922 MAPCO Hackberry Lane. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it.
John Jarvis.
Thank you.
I didn't want to
No,
call it
that was it. That was good.
Mm-hmm.
That was good.
All right, next case, we have S122. This is the John Jarvis subdivision. It's consisting of 2 lots on approximately 69 acres located at 17175 Fennel Road, not in city limits. Here's that vicinity map. It's pretty far north, 43. Here's that aerial view. And here's that plat with contours and without. So it's parceling off about 9 acres and leaving the rest. They are requesting cap sewer, a drainage study, as well as the plat scale.
Engineering?
Engineering's okay with that request.
Petitioner.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, Gary Cobb with Black Warrior Survey, and here tonight for Mr. John Jarvis. This piece of property is for sale, and he would like to retain the 9.1 acre parcel in the southeast corner. There's a little barn down there in the southeast corner, and he wants to retain that and sell lot 1.
Pretty cut and dry. Anyone sign up? I don't think they did. Anyone care to speak for or against this petition? Having heard none. Commission, before us, we have S122 John Jarvis subdivision, 2 lots on 69 acres at 175 Fennell Road. 3, variance request, cap sewer, drainage study, and plat scale, all engineering, no issues with. Do I have a motion and a second?
Motion.
Second.
Ms. Hornsby?
Yes.
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 Yes, motion approved.
Next case, we have S10322. This is the resurvey of Bedford East, which is a resurvey of Bedford East sections 1 through 7. It's consisting of 2 single-family residential lots, 9 townhome lots, and 3 common area lots on approximately 3.13 acres. It's located within the existing Bedford Place subdivision, located at 901 through 921 Bedford Place North, and this is in Council District 3. Here's that vicinity map, right off of McFarland Boulevard near the Watermelon Road intersection. And here's an aerial view. Here's that plat with contours and without. Again, this is an existing neighborhood. This is just to clean up their lot lines. And they are requesting a variance from sidewalks.
Engineering.
We're in agreement with the request.
Thank you. Petitioner.
Good evening again. Eric Hamner, TTL, 3516 Greensboro Avenue, representing the Bedford Homeowners Association. Real quick, we're just proposing this as a townhomes. It is currently condoed, where it's basically just a building and everything else. With aging buildings, we're trying to simplify this so everybody can help be responsible for just their own maintenance of their building. Other than that, I will take any questions you have.
Any questions for petitioner? No questions, pretty cut and dry. Thank you, sir. Anyone care to speak for or against this request? Having heard none, commission, before us we have S10322, that's resurvey of Bedford East. 1 variance request sidewalks, engineering has no issues with. Do I have a motion and a second?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Ms. Prince?
Yes.
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 Yes, motion approved.
All right, Commission, this is our last subdivision case of the evening. It's S10222. This is a resurvey of lots 1 and 2, block 3 of Green Acres, consisting of 3 lots on approximately 13.3 acres, located at 5826 Keens Mill Road. This is not in city limits. Here's the vicinity map. It's right at the intersection of Old Birmingham Highway and Keens Mill. And here's that aerial view. Here's the plat with contours and without. Again, this is a 3-lot subdivision. They are showing a proposed site plan for lot 1 for future development. And they are requesting cap sewer as well as sidewalks for lots 2 and 3.
Engineering.
Engineering's okay with the request for the cap sewer. We would stipulate that sidewalks need to be a component of the land development permit process.
Say that again, Mike. The various requests are cap, sewer, and sidewalk.
That's right. They indicate on this drawing that they're going to construct sidewalk with Lot 1 is what I interpret this. So I'm saying as a condition, making it aware that we will be seeking sidewalks on the LDP plan submittal. And subsequently with Lot 3, when there's a development for Lot 3, we would expect sidewalk to be a part of that land development process as well. Lot 2, that is state controlled, and that would be up to them. And I would think that Alabama AlDOT does not want sidewalk on 216.
We're just getting on the record that as Lot 3 develops, there will be sidewalks required.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. So, any other questions for staff? Petitioner.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, I'm Chris Centel with Centel Engineering. Thank you, that was a good. We have no problem with requiring sidewalks. We added the note at the city's request on Lot 3. So we are planning on doing, developing Lot 1 with a convenience store. So we will construct sidewalks along Kingsmill Road because it's part of the MPO anyway. We feel like sidewalks are needed. So, and sidewalks are needed along Lot 3, but there's no plans for Lot 3 right now. And so we feel like it would be better used if we would just require it during the LDP process for Lot 3. So instead of just constructing sidewalk.
So, Mr. Centel, is lot 1 and Lot 2 and Lot 3 are still the same owner?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, he's wanting to sell Lot 1 to convenience store development.
So Lot 2 and Lot 3 will be the existing ownership?
Yes.
Correct? Okay.
Any other comments? Okay, feel signed up.
Any questions?
I think the questions will present
Yes.
themselves shortly. All right, we have several that have signed up. Speak on this proposal.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, the first person is, I'm sorry, I can't read, Mike, looks like Service, 322 Kingsmiller. Pardon me? Service, okay.
How can we get a microphone?
Commission, yeah, we also did have in here the petitioner's presentation. Did you want to do that before or after you asked for public comment?
Probably should do that first.
Okay.
That should have been part of the presentation by Mr. Centel, but.
Yep, we'll let the petitioner finish.
Sir, we didn't realize there was a presentation to be made, so we'll call you back up. Hey, can we make sure we got ways for him to get it audio? All right, we're going, does Mr. Hunter know you got 5 minutes on this issue?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we're going to keep a tight watch on this one. All right.
So my name is Jimmy Hunter, and may I proceed now?
Yeah, we can see that. Do we have a clock up there ready, Ms. Giles? He's trying to get the clock, I'm assuming. All right, there you go. Fire away, Mr. Hunter.
Yes, my name's Jimmy Hunter, and I'm the owner of the property, and I live at 6332 Green Acres Drive. And I am, as Mr. Centel has said, I'm trying just to sell 2.5 acres on the corner to a gas station developer. There was a meeting held in June, and I was not here. There was a miscommunication, and between me and Mr. Centel, probably my fault. But and then the letter that the city mails out via certified mail did not arrive at my mailbox, and I have a copy of it here should you guys want to see it. I got the letter on June 24th, and the meeting was on June 22nd, so I wasn't able to be here. I did go back and I reviewed the video of the meeting, letter for letter, verbatim, and I've recorded most of the comments that were made. But that's why I wasn't here, and there were considerable things mentioned. I don't know any other way to say this. They were just not true. And I have evidence to show some of those things here, and I would be glad to share that with you if you want to talk about that, or if you'd first just want to see my presentation that I have.
Let's see your presentation.
Okay, so and I'll be as brief as I can with this. The property is well stabilized. I believe one of the assertions at the last meeting was that it was not, and it's been regenerated and has been for 4 years now. Those are pictures that are made. You can see the pine growth here. Mr. Centel, who told me he was certified as, I think, an expert witness to testify in environmental cases, when he went out there and looked at it, he said, Mr. Hunter, did you plant these, or is this volunteer growth? And it's volunteer growth. He said, well, that's 3 and 4 year pine growth right there. So the property has been like that since the project that I attempted prior, I was unsuccessful at, and we shut it down. Can you go to the next slide? And on that slide and the next one, I think you'll see, you can see in the background, there are large trees. One of the false statements that was made about me by multiple people at the previous meeting was that the entire site was fully disturbed, all of the topsoil was sold. That's just simply not true. I have a receipt here from Compass Construction where I paid them thousands of dollars to take topsoil that we had stockpiled on the site. We did not take it out and sell all of it. And when the project shut down and I had no bank financing and I had to stop, plus there were a few mistakes that I made because I was a first-time real estate developer, then I ceased construction as I was ordered, and I did everything I could to restabilize the property. And I have a receipt from Compass Construction where I paid them thousands of dollars to take this topsoil that was stockpiled on the property, put it back out where we had cleared, which was only an acre of about 3 or 4 acres, and spread that back down. So one of the assertions that was made at the last meeting was that all of the topsoil was stripped and sold from the property. That's just simply not true. And I've got receipts to back up what I'm saying. There's 4 year pine forest growth. There's 4 years of grass growth. I've left the silt fence in place. In some cases, you can see there are double rows in multiple places of silt fence, which was above and beyond what I was required to do. In the background, you can see that there's unharvested mature timber on the property. The civil engineer said there's going to be certain areas where we're going to need to perk it and put your septic tanks. He said, don't have any of that timber sold. I didn't sell a piece of that timber. And you can see the large timber back there. One of the assertions made was that I, basically entirely disturbed the entire property, but that's not true. And there's pictures to prove it. The topsoil, and then as the rest of the slide says, all the topsoil was not sold. There's plenty of undisturbed topsoil among unharvested timber. In fact, Mr. Centel and I were calculating today where I had begun construction was only about 4 acres. Next slide, I can see the time's running out quickly, and I'll just breeze through these last. The one rain event that Mr. Sanders talked about was the July 4th rain event, and that set records. That was in the Tuscaloosa News. I saved the article from that. It was record-breaking rainfall. They said it created a temporary river at Bryant-Denny Stadium. It's called a force majeure event. I'm not a lawyer, but that's what an environmental lawyer told me. Will you go to the next slide, please? I'll try to be quickly as I can. This shows the rain event that happened on that day. If you'll see the number in Tuscaloosa right in the middle, 4.39. That's how much rain fell right there at my property. And look at the scale from the National Weather Service. Their scale only goes up to 3 inches in a 24-hour period. That rain fell in 4.39 inches. And look at the next slide. I went to the Iowa State University Masonet website. They collect data points from all over the country from water collection sites. And the Iowa State University database shows that not only did that rain fall in one day, it fell in about 1.5 hours. And from what I've been told by professionals, there's no silt fence in the world that could have retained that mud on that day. That's the only time that Mr. Sanders contacted me in 4 years. I've not heard a peep from him since. He said his property floods all the time, and he's had silt on his property. That event did cause silt on his property. the environmental lawyer in Birmingham, he said, you go out there and do exactly what Mr. Sanders tells you to do and get the silt off his property. ADM will not fine you for that because that's considered a force majeure event. I spent 3 days with my four-wheeler and my dump cart. Mr. Sanders didn't tell you this at the last meeting. I shovel by myself. I hauled that dirt off and back onto my property. And he didn't say that at the last event. And go to the next slide. I realize I'm going over my time. I'm trying to be respectful of the time. This was what the property looked like from a photo I took on August the 18th, 6 weeks after that force majeure rain event, and I had to restabilize. That's 6 weeks after the rain event, and that's what kind of grass growth I had 4 years ago. I'll just skip on to the next slide since I'm out of time. There's another shot from 6 weeks, and you can see I've got 2 rows of silt fence to try to keep the water from moving out into the woods. So, and it's been like that or better for the last 4 years. I've been cutting grass on the property for 4 years. What's the next slide? Here is an aerial photo. You can see where I was going to have the luxury RV park. That area is about 4 acres. There was timber cut off the other part, but as you can see, there's large swaths of land where there's still timber on the property. The things that were said at the last meeting were simply not true. And I've got evidence. I'll be glad to let you look at these books and see the evidence that I have. What's the next slide? Mr. Sanders complained about how his here it is. Mr. Sanders complained about how his property floods all the time. 2 things you need to know about that. Number 1, lift station number 10 apparently overflows quite a bit. And here was something in the Tuscaloosa thread showing that lift station 10 on 6,000 block of Kings Mill Road was overflowing on that day. That was actually a rain event in June of that year. I contacted John Wathen. How many times does lift station 10 overflow with sewage in the last 10 years? There's John Wathen's reply to me. Way too many. I don't have an accurate count now. Lift station 10 is a tributary to his property. Next slide, please. The reason Mr. Sanders' property floods all the time is because a very large portion of that property, and if you'll look at this little triangle up in the left, sort of in the northwest quadrant of that photo, if you see that little triangle with a red line running through it, that's where water coming off my property enters his property. But if you'll look, that big red box is a big chunk of the property that Mr. Sanders owns. That's not only in the 100-year floodplain of Cottondale Creek, but the red hashed area is the floodway of Cottondale Creek. And that has been flooding since the earth was created. And that water comes from upstream. It doesn't come from my property. And so I just wanted to have a chance to clear my name and show you some pictures that I was not the rogue, scorched earth developer that these men made out me to be. I've read through every word they said. One last thing before Mr. Henry got up and said a bunch of things that were not true. And at one point, I've got it written down word for word from the June meeting, a commissioner said to Mr. Henry, do they have retention on the site presently? Mr. Henry had spent 15 minutes, or whatever time he was allowed, berating me and saying that I had done all these terrible things to the property. And the commissioner said, do they have retention on the site presently? Here's what Mr. Henry said. My understanding is that there is not, that the site was cleared and then left, but I haven't been through the site specifically. I haven't been through the site specifically. But he sat there and told things about my property that, I don't know who told him that. Maybe Mr. Sanders told him that, but he acted as though he knew for firsthand that he was going on hearsay information because Mr. Sanders, I believe, had coordinated that. And I apologize if I ran over my time limit.
Well, I got, Mr. Hunter, there's several that signed up. You'll probably hear some of the same issues as the petitioner. We grant you the right to come back up and address any new concerns they have. So you went over your 5 minutes. We appreciate it. We'll be back. So let's hear from those who are signed up.
All right. First person signed up, Mr. Mike Service. Once again.
Yes, my name's Mike Service, and I live at 6322 Kings Mill Road, just down from where they want to sell it, make a service station right there. Kings Mill Road, but if you put a sidewalk right there for somebody to walk on, it's just signing somebody's death threat. The way the folks and the traffic on Kings Mill and 216 right there, it ain't nothing but gonna get somebody killed. And what he's talking about, all the water that he stopped and all that, that's BS. Because the water that the 17 acres that he just sold to somebody else runs right through my backyard. And I got my neighbor right here. He can show you the pictures on his phone. He'll be the next one up, David Green. And he's stripped all that topsoil because I'm disabled. I sit on the front porch and smoke. I've seen the damn dump trucks go up and down the road loading that topsoil out. So I know that's a damn lot to begin with. So that's all I'm going to say right now, because I probably say something that I'll regret. I don't want to go to jail.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Service. Next person to sign up, I think, is David. Is it Gwen? David?
I'm David Green. I live at 6330 Kings Mill Road on Cottondale. I live right behind the man who just up here.
Close to the microphone.
And I live right behind the man that just lives here. And the water floods my road before I go out. I got pictures on it. And it was February the 11th of 2020. So if he fixed it in 2018, you know, why is the water still coming down through there? But like I say, it floods my road, so it's like a valley. But it never did do that because I put in one cover. But now it's so much water comes down through there, the one cover won't take the water.
And that didn't happen, or did happen before?
Nope, didn't have no problem with it. And here's
We can't add to the record. If you want to try to share it with staff for the record, we really can't do anything with it right now. Is there a way to add that to the record?
Sounds like me.
That's all I got to say.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, the next person signed up is Mr. Allen Henry.
Alan Henry. I live at 10 Central Highlands, Tuscaloosa, but I own the property at 6620 Kingsville Road, which is just down the hill from property owners who have spoken already. In concept, I'm in favor of a convenience store there. My concern is the property, not just lot one, but the entire property. For a lot of stories about how it's been developed or how it's not been taken care of. If this were approved, I would like to see wastewater study done on the entire property to make sure that all the problems are solved before it's subdivided. Again, as far as the idea of the project, I don't have any problem with that. I just don't want any Cottondale Creek, which joins my property across the street from the Sanders property, across the street from Sanders. Cottondale Creek is always more cloudy than Hurricane Creek, which runs into it. Now, where the silt's coming from, I don't know. But it needs to be addressed, and this property seems to be part of the cause of that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Henry. Next person we have signed up, Mr. Scott Sanders.
Scott Sanders, 6510 Keens Mill Road. I provided some information earlier today through your system, emailed that to you. I don't know if we want to sit up here and go through my pictures versus their pictures, my picture. I provided you guys a whole bunch of pictures last time. I think I shared with you guys on an iPad. If you want to see them, you just tell me. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've got 8 different events on this, on different dates of the flooding. He mentions my property in the floodplain. Could you pull up that map with the red box around it? The slide you had. If you look at that picture right there, I think he's calling the entire property in the flood zone. I don't know where he got that information from, but if you look just on the north portion of it, there's a house and a barn on top of that hill. And that house has been insured for the last 52 years that I'm aware of, and we don't pay flood insurance. So I'm going to guess he's wrong about that particular part, or most of the part he's got circled in red. If you look out there where his red line comes through, that's Kings Mill Road. That's the intersection of Prude Mill and Kings Mill Road. And I would guess that's not in the flood zone. So I would say disregard that. But as far as sitting up here and having a discussion back and forth, as far as I feel like I provided you with a bunch of information last time. If you want these photos, I'll be more than happy to show them. Flooding, water, when you have rain, one thing, every one of these photos will show you that all this water that's coming is full of red dirt, silt, and mud. Can you pull up the ADEM file I sent you?
We actually can't pull it up on this computer. We emailed it to the commission earlier
You did,
today.
so
though.
you guys have access to that. If you look at the ADEM inspection report, I think he mentioned that there was a rain event in July 6th of 2018. No action was taken on any of this until I finally contacted ADEM to find out why they weren't enforcing the rules. And was told that the guy didn't even have a permit. He had no ADEM permit, had never even applied for an ADEM permit. And I think earlier I provided you guys with some records that show that every time he got an LDP permit, he got 2 LDP permits from you guys, both of them, signed that he agreed to follow your guidelines and your regulations. And those guidelines and regulations said you'll follow all the rules of the state, federal, and everything else. They obviously knew they needed a ADEM permit. One, I told them they needed an ADEM permit before he ever started the project. I'm fairly familiar with ADEM. 2, he posted the application page that you would normally, that you can print offline on his job board. And he referenced that as his ADEM permit because I asked his contractor, Thomas Camplain, over and over and over, did he have an ADEM permit? He said, yeah, it's on the job board. Well, he didn't have an ADEM permit. He didn't take any action to correct any of this until ADEM came to him, or ADEM came and did an inspection and sent him a letter that said, you fix this, it's getting ready to cost you some money. That's it. So I don't want to, I've got plenty of evidence here. I've got plenty of photographs here. I think any of you guys know you've been to a football game when it's flooding, raining. It may get wet on the field. It may be wet over on the sidelines, but it's not full of red dirt. You don't get red dirt off grass. It's coming off the hill. I think it's, as I said, I think any of you guys can look at it. But the other issue I had about even being at the meeting tonight or about this coming up, I'm going to put glasses on here. If I read, these are your subdivision regulations here. If I read this correctly, a couple of things stand out to me. Under your purposes section here, flooding, water control, erosion control is mentioned multiple times under the purpose. Not how high your curb is, how wide your streets are. That's obviously very important to you guys. And none of that, as I said, that seems to have been just completely thrown to the wayside on this project, okay?
Sanders, kind of come to your time.
Excuse me?
Your time's expired.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Kind of come to wrap it up real quick. I'll give you
Well,
30 seconds.
3 seconds. Well, I guess I'll finish with this. If I read item 3, which I don't want to sit here and try to read out loud to you guys, okay? But item 3, under your enforcement, in a nutshell, says, if a guy's in violation, you don't come back up here and ask for another thing until you get your violations corrected. It also says, too, that enforcement shall be the duty of the planning director. And, you know, on several occasions, I've been told that this is something I need to take up as a civil action, and I can't find anything, you know, that gives me the authority to go regulate this guy as far as his activities with you, with what y'all are doing. But I guess in a nutshell, what it appears to me is he bought a tract of land, and to be not very pleasant, to be a little bit crude, he stripped the land, sold off what he could sell off. He pushed all the scabs and boogers over onto the other back piece of property that runs off on all the neighbors. And then he sold it to his preacher. So none of us really knew this meeting was coming up. So I apologize for being all over the place, but I didn't have a bunch of time. I only knew a day or so ago that this meeting was even coming up. But, you know, the idea of taking and putting putting 3 large commercial lots at the end of what's traditionally been a residential area, I don't think that's going to be a good idea. But, you know, if you need any more information from me, I'll be glad to provide it. Thank you, sir.
All right, Mr. Chairman, last person we had sign up looks like Michael Lowe.
Michael Lowe, 6212 Kings Mill Road. I didn't have a whole lot to say other than the fact I thought bringing in a road off of 216 and off of Kings Mill, right there at that intersection that is already jam-packed in the morning, jam-packed in the afternoons, is a bad idea. It's a safety issue. You're going to wind up getting someone killed out there with that kind of act. But as far as the liars that I live next to, I'm sorry if anybody believed that, because it was more than one rain event. It was several rain events. And that one big rain event, you was at my house helping me dig the carpet out and squeegee the water out of my living room, my downstairs living room. And as long as he had that fence up there, every time it rained hard at all, it would flood. And you could go right down to my other neighbor's house, one in the wheelchair there, and you could see his driveway being washed. And I don't know how the neighbors next to him handled all the water that was sloshing over their wall. But I really resent being called a liar. The one liar that I know that I've heard here is Mr. Hunter, and that's all I've got to say.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Lowe, let me ask you one question before you go back. Come back, Mike. I think last time, how many times has your house flooded?
My house flooded 4 times. And it would have flooded more, but what I did was I bought me some waders, and every time it rained, if I was there, I went out there and I cut little holes in the fence, and I would move the leaves away so the water could run through there. But if it was nighttime, I would get up, my downstairs living rooms would be flooded. Or if I wasn't at home, it would flood.
Did it flood any pre-developed, did it, had it
No,
flooded?
and I'd been living there almost 25 years. We never had a flood. I've never had my living room to flood. He did his stuff. He put that wall up. And which really, I didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal. I mean, you know, that's the reason I wasn't mad at him when it happened.
When you say wall,
Well, he's put up a retainer fence between my property and his property so it would slow down the water because, you know, there's a valley right by
a
our
silt
property.
fence or a wall?
Silt fence.
Okay.
And he put it there to slow down the water so it wouldn't go over into other neighbors' property as fast.
Okay.
Which I thought, well, okay, yeah, I don't have a problem with that. And then this is what happened. And I said, hey, we got to do something different. This isn't going to work. And so that's when I went out there and started cutting holes in the fence. Then when about the 4th time my house flooded, I talked to him about it, and he told me, well, it'll rot pretty soon. You know, I mean, it's bad enough my property values have gone down since he's put in his trailer park, but I don't need to have rotted downstairs because of him. Anything else? Sorry to be so emotional, but it makes me mad to get called a liar.
So, Mr. Chairman, that's all the people I have signed up to speak.
That's all that signed up, but would anyone else care to speak for or against? Come one at a time, please, and state your name and address for the record.
I'm Wallace Bigham. My property's at 6001 Old Birmingham Highway. It's adjacent to Mr. Hunter's property there. I have no objection of him putting a convenience store up there. I think it'd be a good idea, good asset to the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next. Stay on this side and work our way that way. How about that?
My name's Jeff Bigham. I live at 6001 Old Birmingham Highway. It seems like all the flooding issues come from Lot 3. As far as Lot 1 goes, as far as I'm concerned, it'd be a great place for a convenience store because all the water is going to drain yonder way towards the Y. So the issue at hand is whether he can put a convenience store on Lot 1, is what I gather. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm not opposed to Lot 1 getting a convenience store. The flooding issues are a whole separate deal in my book. So I say let him have a convenience store on Lot 1. And as far as the traffic goes, I think with some lights and some things, activity there at that Y would actually slow traffic down and might make it just a little bit safer. Because because it's dark there, I think people would be a little bit more aware of what's going on with the store there. So I think it would probably increase safety.
Thanks, sir. Staying on this side. Before you get started, though, with it being a state highway, how would you get a light put there at that intersection? That can be something the state may call on?
I think he was referring more to lighting the,
Store
not
light?
a
Yeah,
traffic light.
You're on a
but-
traffic light, were you? I got you. Okay, just.
Street lights.
Got you. Okay. I thought you were trying to say a traffic light. Go ahead.
Jim Perrin, thank you for your time. I used to live right there across the street at 5736 Old Birmingham Highway.
Where do you live now?
I live in Summerfield. I just moved to Summerfield. But I can tell you right now that Mr. Hunter, I'd go out there every couple of days and he'd be working that street line, picking up trash, cleaning the property, always working on that property. Me personally, living where I did and in Summerfield now, I think we need to develop something. I think a gas station's as good as anything right there. But we need to start developing that area in Cottondale and right there. I think it would be a good thing to do. That's all I have.
Thanks, sir. On this side. We're going to stay over here. If you want to come on up. Come on up.
My name's Joe Steele. I live in Peterson at 11301 West Cliff Drive. And I travel 216 and Kings Mill Road very often. And I'm in favor of a convenience store right there. Lot 1, to me, is as good a lot as they are in this city to put a convenience store. Now, convenience stores are popping up everywhere, but we need one in our community. The one in Peterson, you cannot hardly get in and out without risking your life. Buffalo Rock pulls in there every morning. You can't see to get out on the highway. It's congested. And I think Mr. Hunter's got a perfect spot for the convenience store. And I've known him a long time. My son and his son went to school together, so that's how I got to know him. I think he's a reputable man. And I wouldn't think he would call anybody a liar. But it looks to me like they have hard feelings towards him. But he's truly a good gentleman, I think, my opinion. But I'm here because I'm in favor of a convenience store to support our community.
Thank you, sir. Anyone on this side of the room care to?
My name is Fernando Maldonado. I live at 6212 Green Acres Drive. I'm in favor of building a convenience store because it's close to home. We don't have one anywhere close to home except, Peterson, like he said. It's very dangerous to get in and out of it. And just being this close, I'm just in favor of it. So, that's all I got to say.
Thank you, sir. Name and address for the record.
Tamika Wilder.
A little closer to the microphone.
Tamika Wilder,
No, Marvin Wilder.
6320 Green Acres Drive. And we just want to say that we're in favor of having a convenience store there. Be more convenient for us instead of having to go Peterson or either get out on University Boulevard. I'm diabetic, and that would be even better for me to get to the store if I needed, just say orange juice, Coca-Cola, anything like that. So I'm in favor of it. And Mr. Jimmy, we've known for 8 years, very good, true Christian man. Word of his, what he say he do. So I think he's very reputable as well.
Thank you.
And that's all we got to say.
Great, thank you very much. Anyone on this side I think everybody's spoken on this side now. Anyone on this side of the room care to make a comment?
My name's Laney Shirley. I live at 6110 Kings Mill Road. They're wanting to build this gas station right in my backyard. I'm as opposed to it as they can get. I already just about get run over pulling out of my driveway. I've had 5 neck surgeries and 3 back surgeries, and I barely can turn around. And I've almost got hit many a time. And all it's going to do is screw our traffic up worse. You're going to have these people pulling up in the front of it with this boom music. You're going to have a funeral home across the street having funerals. Is that something y'all would like to have at y'all's family's funeral? It's not me. And I think y'all need to listen to all these people that's had problems and take care of their problems before y'all give him permission to do anything. I'm sitting here getting mad. But it's the way these people have been done is not right. Mr. Hunter stood in my carport Monday night, called these people a liar, and I don't appreciate it. He wanted us to come down here and stand for him, same way he probably did these people. But he didn't offer me no money like he probably offered them.
Thanks, sir.
Hello, my name is William Lockhart. I stay at 6150 Kings Mill Road. I stay down the street, and that was my neighbor just left. But I'm not in favor of the gas station. I'm not in favor of none of it because I used to live on that trailer park over there. The health department shut it down. 5826. I still got my old license from there. And they never fixed the septic tanks there due to the fact it was a back grandfathered in when the boards owned it. Boards used to own that part. And I used to live there, they closed it down because the septic tanks were overflow and they would have to try to pump it out with white septic. So down there at the county health department, they said it's, not livable. And they put a tag on it and never opened it back up. Mr. Hunter bought it, turned around, sold the topsoil, cut the trees and stuff down over there. That park never looked like that. I lived there. So I bought some property, which is 6150, where we live at now. The water is backing up on the back part of my property because he cut the existing dirt down, raised another side, pushed the water back onto my property, And he said he would get it fixed. That was several years ago. He abandoned the project. All that stuff that's going on in my neighbor's house, I seen it done. I seen the trucks with dirt leaving out of there. I asked him about it. He told me, do I want to sell my back property? And that, I just move, or something like that. And I'm figuring like, I'm not going nowhere. We own our property. So we paid for it. And we went about the right way of doing what we did. So why you can't go about the right way doing what you did, and you selling dirt, cutting 200-year-old trees that stopping land erosion and speeding no water. We got snakes going towards our house, possums and all kinds of other stuff going over there that shouldn't be going over there. And I see you did this, and then you turn around and tell us, sell your property, don't worry about it. That's all I got to say.
Thanks, sir. Anyone else care to speak for or against? Sir, you can't talk. You gotta speak to the microphone. You can't. Gotta be on the record.
All of these people that are for this and have not been having to deal with this mess like all these people down the street from me have. They're all for this convenience store, but it's not in their backyard. And I'm gonna promise you, if I get hit coming out of my driveway because of the excess traffic coming through there, somebody's gonna pay. I don't know who it's gonna be, but it's about got ridiculous. He's been let by with too much as it is.
Thanks, sir. Let's. All right, everyone I think has had comments here. We've heard them. Mr. Hunter, Ms. Centel, who was come and respond to any of the.
I first want to apologize if I was a little bit animated when I first came out a few minutes ago, but some of these, and I understand some of these gentlemen are upset because their integrity has been questioned, but my integrity has been questioned also. And I was running the ground back in June, and several lies were told about me. And I understand you're in a position where, is this guy really this rogue developer that was just going about things with no regard for rules and no permits? Tamika, would you hand out those books? I'll just let you guys look. Rather than me sit here and try to continue arguing with these men, I just want to let the evidence speak. And I felt like that's maybe the best answer I can have to some of these people. If you'll just briefly hand out those books, and if I can call your attention to near the end of the book, there's a page labeled E30 for Exhibit 30, and that's a receipt that I have from Compass Civil Construction. If you'll look at near the back, you'll see receipt you'll receive the invoice from Compass Civil Construction, Exhibit 30, E30. You can see where I paid $10,225 to Compass Civil Construction. Okay, that was where we put the topsoil back on the property. We did not sell all the topsoil. So at the end of the day, commission members, I don't like to call people liars. I would be offended if somebody called me a liar. But there's no way that they can be telling the truth and I can be telling the truth. One of us is lying. The question is, who is it? And I'm just suggesting to you that what I have here is a receipt. I have, if you'll look at page E19, you will see that we did apply for an ADEM permit. And this was the document. I was a first-time developer. I didn't know what I was doing. And when the civil engineer said, hey, you've got to put that document up, and that's got to be shown to anybody that walks onto your job site, as far as I knew, that was a permit. It says at the top, and I apologize. I'm again raising my voice, because like I said, my integrity has been questioned also, and I apologize for raising my voice. This says NPDES permit number ALR blah, blah, blah is a general permit authorizing discharges associated with construction activities. When I saw that, I mean, what would you think when you saw that? I thought that's a permit authorizing construction activities. I didn't understand that you have to get this. I'm sorry, Commissioner, go ahead.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
You see E18, you sent it, Ron Henderson.
I'm sorry, E19, E19.
So,
Did I say E18? I made a
Okay,
mistake.
but E18, I see your application permit, notice of intent, but E18 shows Ron Henderson, who I assume was your engineer of record, or what was he to you at that time?
He was the civil engineer I had hired to try to help me develop the luxury RV park.
Okay, and at no time during this process did he indicate to you that you were supposed to have a ADM permit? Because as far as I know, Ron understands the process.
He
Correct?
does? Yes,
So
sir.
did he not apply for you? Did you not ask him to apply? Did he not tell you to apply?
Yes, sir, he did. Isn't that what this is? On June 20th of
That's
2017?
correct. That's correct.
He did apply.
And so did he not take you through that process? So you didn't get an ADM permit?
Yes, sir,
Well,
I did.
You did?
And- Yes, sir. And the permit number, it's right here on this sheet of paper.
Where
It was
is the permit number?
the permit number is not in that book, but the permit number is,
So wouldn't you have thought it'd been a good idea to show us the permit that you got? Because part of the question we have was whether you had an ADM permit or not.
could you hand that to Commissioner, please? I'm not supposed to leave the stand here. And that's got the permit number on it. I just forgot to make copies of it. That's all. That is the permit
that a
number. It
copy or
shows
is
that
Is that an application or the permit itself?
that's where the permit, that's showing that the permit was terminated successfully in 2019, and it lists the permit number.
I understand. It says that you got when did you get this ADM permit?
I don't remember the exact date. It was, I think, 1 year.
I think that's germane to this situation. That you could, I mean, I don't know when you got the permit. This is a termination of your permit.
Yes, sir.
So wouldn't you think it would have been, I mean, with all this documentation, don't you think it'd been important to show us a copy of your permit and when you got it?
Yes, sir, it would be, and I just made a mistake, and I forgot to copy that. I apologize for that.
I mean, that's pretty,
Yes, sir, but you do have the document in front of you there.
That's not the permit, though. That's just saying there's no, you're
Oh.
showing, that this is an application for permit on E20, the way I read it.
I'm-
It has
I'm
no
just-
reference to any kind of permit number.
Yes, sir, the permit number is on the
Yeah, he does.
page. It's
What I'm saying is-
ALYR10BYP, I believe. Yes,
I
sir.
don't know when he got a
That's what I'm
permit.
saying. What's that permit for? We
This
don't have
is-
the application for that permit.
Was
And-
it, was it before or after you started construction?
Okay. When did I get the permit?
When did you get the permit?
I got the permit after I started construction.
After you started construction?
Yes, sir, I did make a mistake. I was a first-time real estate developer. I did not know what I was doing. I'm sorry, go ahead, sir.
Okay, I guess it's important for us to understand when that permit was applied.
I think it was 1 year from when it was terminated, because I think the ADM keeps the permit
When did
open
you
for a
start
year.
construction? To get that permit, didn't you have to submit drawings?
Yes, sir, Mr. Henderson did.
Okay,
Yes,
do you have those drawings?
No, sir.
Do you have a current permit?
I think we can.
No, ma'am, it was
There's some
terminated in
information.
July or June of 2019.
Right, but that was 3
We
years
got-
ago.
we got
Have you-
some information.
Have you reapplied for one
Hold
for
on,
this
hold on,
project?
No, ma'am, because I'm no longer doing any development work, and I shut the project down, and I've restabilized the site, and all I wanted to do was just sell the property.
Oh, I see. So you aren't developing this, you just want to sell this property?
That's right. I have, what happened to me 4 years ago was extremely painful, and there's no way I ever want to attempt real estate development again. I just really want to sell the property and get some of the money back out. That's all I'm trying to
And
do
have
here.
these people, have these people applied for any permits?
Who's that?
C-store, the convenience store, the people you're planning to sell to?
Well, no, ma'am, because they haven't bought the property yet.
We understand that, I'm just, yeah, okay.
I can answer that question. We will definitely have an ATM permit, land service permit.
Gas station.
We got the information that I guess Mr. Sanders sent us, or that you all sent us, with a lot of the pictures, but it says in July of 2018, July the 18th, 2018 is when this is dated and signed off by ADM. And it says, facility was not permitted with the department at the time of the inspection. Disturbed area was more than 1 acre. Silt fence was down and not repaired. Silt fence was not cleaned out. Off-site sedimentation was observed in wooded areas and on neighboring properties to the north and east of the site. In-stream sedimentation was observed in an unnamed tributary to Hurricane Creek downstream of the site. So that was July of 2018. Then when did you plant the grass Oh, and also, there was a picture of a big concrete wall. Where is that big concrete wall?
Is that the retaining wall? You're referencing a
I
retaining wall?
guess it is. It just is a picture of a big, not the silt fence, but a concrete wall.
Okay, yes, ma'am, that's the retaining wall that is further on down to, it's not here because it's on some other property that I own that's off this map. That's where I was trying to develop the luxury RV park, and that was also money I had spent towards construction.
So the pictures that you originally showed us at the very beginning, when did you start, I would call it reclaiming the property, planting the grass and doing, I guess, what maybe the ADM had told you to do?
That was 6 weeks after that rain event on July the, whatever day that was, July the, what? 2018 in July, within 6 weeks. Actually, well, no, I started the work to restore the property as soon as I was notified by ADM about the NOV. I did get the notice of violation. There was a misunderstanding between me and Mr. Henderson. I did not understand that full document that he had to submit with all of those drawings and all of the discharge points and everything, that they had to get that, they had to look over it, had to sign off on it, and then that came back. I had never done it before. It was an innocent mistake, and I thought that this was the permit, or I didn't know what this was. I just thought that.
Shows when he started that.
Right.
When he started the soil,
But
topsoil reclamation and all that.
So, Mr. Hunter.
Into that mud.
The violation required a cure, correct?
Yes, sir.
Correct.
And that cure, did you, what was that cure? What did ADM direct you to do?
Proper stabilization of the area that was disturbed, and those pictures are on E3.
So, I don't want to look at pictures.
Well, I was going to show.
I understand that. I'm asking questions.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, did you employ a contractor or any erosion control, or did you do it yourself?
I employed contractors.
Pardon me? To do the cure. And what was that cure?
Well, okay. Yeah, it was partly done by contractors, which is that receipt to Compass Civil Construction. But the planting of the seed, I actually hired Mr. Henderson to disperse the seed.
Mr. Ron Henderson?
He has a tractor, and I hired him to put the seed down. And
you hired your engineer of record to grass your site?
yes, sir.
Okay.
And pardon? Well, at the time, Mr. Henderson and I were personal friends.
Okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
And he did the work. And then I rented a hay blower. And I bought hundreds of bales of hay from, I think his name's Kemp.
I'm sure it involved a lot of silt fence. Did you install the silt fence?
No, sir. Cottondale Excavation installed the silt fence. Actually, they installed part of it, and I forget the name of the other company that started. I think it was Compass that installed the other silt fence. Yes, sir. And what I would also mention, sir, is that if you would look at one of the things that again, I apologize for having to argue with these other people about who's telling the truth.
Well,
but someone is telling the truth and someone is not, and if I could just.
We've seen this property numerous times come
Yes, sir.
before us, and each time we've had opposition, and it's been directly from the neighbors that were, quote unquote, felt like they were affected. And in some shape, form, or fashion, I have to believe that what you did affected the neighbors downstream. I have to believe that if I hear a guy say that he's lived there as long as he has, and since you started work, it flooded his house numerous times, then it leads me to believe that something that you did contributed to the harm of these people associated with it. You come before us asking, and this is just my personal opinion, you come before us asking us to approve this subdivision so you can build a convenience store. The convenience store is not my issue here, whether you build, you know, I know everybody doesn't want a convenience store in their backyard. I don't want one either in mine. But unfortunately, you live in the county and there's a likelihood that someplace, somewhere, convenience stores are gonna be built. We can't, if it meets the conditions of our regulations, then we're bound to approve. The problem I personally have is that nothing has been done in the times that you've come before us with different projects, the game day thing, the latest time, the July issue that you came, to try to rectify with these adjacent property owners the potential damage that you created, given the fact that I'm still not convinced through proper LDP submittal that we had and no documentation as to what the cure ADEM put on you, because I guarantee you if you had properly cured that the way ADEM had asked you to, then these people would no longer be affected or still having the effect. So not having that documentation, it leads me to believe that there's still some issues ongoing on this overall property. I asked up front right away, who owns this land? I was told that you own all of this property, lots, what is called lot 1, proposed lots 1, 2, and proposed 3, correct?
Yes, sir.
And so, in order for me to approve this and grant what you're asking for, I've got to have the proper documentation that you've done the cure from the LDP process, which I don't know that we finally ever got from the city, and the ADEM issues that are outstanding, which we've got this huge book, but nowhere in here does I see where ADEM signed off on this. That's my issue with the whole subdivision, personally.
Yeah, I actually gave them a copy of the letter. I had not made copies for every one of the books. Pardon? Yeah, they have the copy where the permit was released. Yes, yes, sir. So, Mr. Harrison, one example that Mr. Lowe said, I'm trying my best to.
Engineer record.
I read the email that we got this afternoon, and thank y'all for sharing that with me. The last date was February of 2020. That was over 3 years ago, and that was at the end of when he was being released from his permit from ADEM. I'm just curious because, I mean, that was 3 years ago, and at what point does the stabilization? The properties, the silt fence is in good order. The grass is growing in good order. He's even got pine trees growing. So my question would be, he was inspected with ADEM, and he was released from his permit. And ADEM has to make a site visit to do that. And they won't issue a letter. We all know, most of us know the process. They won't issue a letter of release unless it satisfies them to where he's not silting other people or runoff. And since the last comment on the email that we got this afternoon was February of 2020, and in February it'll be 3 years. So is there any event that's causing that we need to rectify between February of 20 and November of 2022? At some point.
I have no doubt that the site has cured itself. I mean, if you leave a site long enough and it's not a gully and doesn't have steep drainage, and it has a tendency to cure itself from a grassing standpoint.
Yeah.
But apparently there's still some issues outstanding with some flooding issues that we're being told from the surrounding neighbors that was caused by the overall project. So, Mike, did y'all during the LDP process did you go back and look at the original LDP, and did they follow the process accordingly? Was there any mention of detention ponds, detention systems during that LDP?
Yes, there was detention ponds in the plans that were submitted and approved. They were never constructed.
Detention ponds were never constructed.
Yes, the plans were approved, and as Mr. Hunter has said, he failed to complete the project, and none of the stormwater detention was ever built.
Okay.
You made the comment just a minute ago about it being released, the ADM permit being released. I'm curious about, I don't know ADM's terminology, but it says you asked for termination, of an application. Is that what I understand? In 19, at some point in 19, you asked for a termination of the permit from ADM.
Yes, sir.
And you were saying it was released. Now, all ADM did, they granted the termination. They didn't release anything.
No, well, that was my terminology. They granted him a termination of permit, so which means it was required by ADM to make a site visit and sign off. I mean, they're not going to terminate a permit for stormwater with you having no silt fencing up, no grassing up, no BMPs in place in general, because I mean that's obviously defeats the purpose of the permit.
On page E3, that picture at the bottom, that is the picture that you'll find at the ADM website. They sent that to me as their proof that they were satisfied that the property was stabilized.
So
Picture that's on the bottom of E3.
Regardless of the ADM permit being released, let's assume it was released, it's released 3 years down the road. ADM's gonna release the permit based on erosion issues. The site had healed itself. We all understand that. Maybe some of the grassing that you added in some of the place helped it, I don't know. But overall, you showing me pictures of 3-year-old pine trees or 1-year-old pine trees tells me that the site is healing itself, even if there is a lack of topsoil. I didn't see pictures of the whole site, so I can't tell you it doesn't have any cracks and crevices. It was not built under the design of the original LDP process. There was no regard to the city's LDP process, and now you come up here asking us to subdivide this property when we still have issues going on with adjacent neighbors because you didn't maintain the original concept of the original LDP. That's where I'm at.
Yes, sir, I understand. What proof would be necessary for either me to prove that they don't have issues or for them to prove that they do?
Who is they?
The neighbors you just referenced that are speaking out against me. How do we accomplish what you're asking here?
I don't know. That's not for me to tell you how to accomplish that.
Well,
I mean, there's obviously still issues there.
Well, yes, sir, there are, but I haven't heard from Mike Lowe or Scott Sanders in 4 years. They've never once called me. If there's been other rain events where they had silt on their property, they've never once called me and told me about that. I don't know how I could have rectified anything. Mr. Lowe did say that he called me one time on one of those heavy rain events about 4 years ago, and he called me. My wife and I did go into his basement, and there was water in his basement. And his carpet had gotten wet, and my wife and I spent the evening helping him get that carpet out of his basement. And I told him, I said, Mr. Lowe, I apologize for this. You just tell me how much I owe you for the damages, and I'll be glad to replace the carpet. And he said, that was old Berber 70s carpet. It was rotten to begin with. He said, really, I've been wanting to get it out of here. Honestly, you're doing me a favor. And he said, don't worry about it. He never asked me to pay him a dime. I would have gladly paid him a dime. That's the only time he did say that. That was true. And my wife and I went into the basement and cleaned out his basement. And I would have been more than happy to pay him some money on the force majeure rain event when Scott Sanders called me or called ADM, and ADM called me. And I went down to Scott's house and I said, what do I need to do? And Scott said, you get down here with your wheelbarrow and a shovel and you dig up every shovelful of red dirt off of this property and put it back on your property. I did exactly what he asked, everything he said to do. And there's not been a rain event since. I mean, doesn't it stand to reason that if Mr. Lowe's, as quick as Mr. Lowe was to call me the first time his basement got wet, as quick as Mr. Sanders was to call me the first time he had silt on his property, if that was still a problem, wouldn't they be calling me right now? And I haven't heard from either one of these gentlemen in 4 years.
Mr. Hunter, I would assume had you done the project per the LDP process, per what you were required, you wouldn't be having to have these conversations with either one of those two gentlemen.
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand what you said, sir.
One more time.
Beg your pardon?
One more time. I would have assumed if you had done this project per the LDP process, you would not have to have either one of those conversations with either one of those gentlemen. The fact of the matter is you did not perform this project under the correct LDP, and now you're asking us to come back and subdivide when you still have issues on your adjacent neighbors. I'm only one vote, and I'm speaking very vocal because that's the way I feel.
Yes,
So,
sir. I understand, sir, and I respectfully.
Maybe the rest of the commissioners can see it differently, but that's just the way I see it.
Yes, sir, I understand. And I understand that, and I don't know what to say. I've done everything I could do to make the property good, and if I did do a bad job of developing the property, I mean, the last thing in the world I would think you would want is for me to retain ownership of the property. I would think it'd be much better to let a civil engineer and a gas station developer that knows what they're doing develop the property, because, I mean, I didn't do a good job 4 years ago, and that's part of the reason it was a failure. I didn't know what I was doing.
Here would be, here would be my suggestion. Fix the property to the adjacent owners where you don't have these continuous properties. And I think they'd probably come and say, hey, he fixed my situation. So.
Yes, sir. Well, I will, if the matter does not pass, I'll have to reconsider my options, because Mr. Sanders Mr. Sanders wanted to buy the property. And when I walked into his office 5, 6 years ago and I said, hey, Scott, I got the property next to you, he said, you got what? I said, yeah, I got the property next to you. He said, the old trailer park? I said, yes, sir. He said, from the Boyd brothers in Huntsville? I said, yes, sir, that's right. I thought, I knew Scott because his son and my son had played baseball together in Kentucky baseball, and I thought we were friends. So I thought, Scott knows who I am. So I told him, I had bought the property next to him. He said, they were supposed to sell that to me. And I said, what? I didn't know that. He said, yeah, I called him years ago and asked for the first right of refusal. And I said, well, how many years ago was it? He said, I don't know, it was a lot. And I said, well, Mr. Sanders, I said, Scott, these men were pretty old when I bought the property from them. In fact, one of the men has since died. And I said, they didn't mention to me at all that you wanted to buy the property, they sold it to me. And about 2 weeks later, he called me up and he said, let's meet out there and talk. And he got out there and basically tried to strong-arm me into selling him the property. We were standing in the woods, and he said, what are you going to put here? I know you got that Section 8 house over in West End. You're not going to bring Section 8 houses over here, are you? And I said, no, Scott. I said, I'm going to try to sell the property. I'm sorry.
I think we're getting a little far afield.
Yeah.
Pardon?
I think we're getting pretty far off topic here.
I apologize. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, I'm sorry. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Centel, are you done?
Yeah, my presentation's done. We'd like for you to vote on it. No continuance.
Okay. All right.
This got way beyond what I was here for. But first of all, on ADM, they don't come back and necessarily check after the fact unless they get another phone call, which is on my list at this point. They rely on probably the on-site engineer who he appears to be blaming for not getting his ADM permit in the first place. So if that's the guy they relied on to say all the work was done, that's probably not a good idea. As far as, and we're not going to get into all this, but as far as his story about the land, sure, I've always known about that land, but it's not something I was necessarily jumping up and down to buy at any point. And his conversation there is fairly delusional. I will tell you the first conversation, though, since he brought that up. He stopped by my office, told me he wanted what he had bought the land and what he wanted to build. He wanted to build an RV park. I said, okay, Jimmy, let me take you out here and show you what not to do. And I took him and I showed him all the slope. I said, don't take down any trees here. When you take down these trees, you better not do a thing until you have all your erosion control in place. And I said, do not move a shovel full of dirt before you get an ADM permit. So the thought that he would say he didn't know about an ADM permit is totally off base. On another occasion, while the property was flooding, I had him come to my office. I put him in my vehicle because we had to get in my vehicle because the driveway was flooded. And I drove him down the driveway. And I said, Jimmy, do you see what's going on here? And he said, yes. And I said, if you don't take care of this, my very next phone call will be to ADM. And his reply was to ask me if I knew Jesus. And I told him I hoped he did and had his phone number, because if it didn't stop raining, we were going to have a problem. Okay? So this is all getting way out of hand. But I think me, as well as all these other folks that are direct neighbors, are concerned that the pattern we've seen, he gets a little money for this land, the money and him are gone. He's already sold the back portion to his preacher. I'm not sure what that's about, but he sold off the portion that's touching us. So now, even if we had to take civil action, we got to go sue his preacher. So I would, and I think, I'm not going to speak for Michael and these other guys, but I think that we've somewhat relied on the rules and regulations that were laid out in these permits, the city permits, and the city guidelines on development to keep us whole at the end. Because all the things we've talked about are covered in every one of these code sections here, as far as the erosion, the runoff, every bit of it's in here. And I think we may have possibly relied on you guys as far as him wanting to know why we hadn't called. Because if he has to correct our issues before he can move forward, I think he might finally correct them. Thank you.
I would just like to make a comment.
Yep.
Okay, you can go ahead.
One last thing before, I would like to make a motion that we remove the waivers from the subdivision. We would be willing to put in cap sewer and sidewalks for lot 2 and 3. Remove the waivers.
I would just like to say, because I deal with so many drainage issues, that making sure that a developer's development does not affect the neighboring residents is important, because these are lifelong changes that we're making. So it would make me feel more comfortable to be in favor of this project if I knew that things were handled better and the detention pond was probably in place, or the neighbors' concerns could have been fixed before we got to this point, because their concerns are valid and legit.
Okay, I need to ask a question then. Assume that the subdivision passes. Are any of these problems fixable pursuant to the LDP?
The subdivision passes, the LDP will only affect lot 1 of what, which is a small minute portion.
Okay, that's right, yeah, because they're not putting anything on 2 and 3. Okay.
I guess we'll close discussions in public and talk amongst yourselves. They've called for a vote.
Yeah, I'm uncomfortable being in a fact-finding position here. I mean, we're not really equipped to be like a jury where we weigh the evidence and decide who's telling the truth and who's not. And we don't have any tools or mechanisms to study this ourselves, or to really look at evidence and decide how to handle it. And I just feel like as long as we've got people who are directly in conflict about what's going on out there, I don't have the confidence to okay something with this many uncertainties about it. And that doesn't mean I believe some people and don't others. I don't know. That's where I'm coming down with this. Is that I'm not in a position to decide who's telling the truth, or who, how bad this situation is. And we as a commission are not in a position to be able to do that. There are other authorities like ADM and, I don't know, the county, whatever, to investigate these things, but we're not really in a good position to do that. And I don't think that's passing the buck. I think that's just beyond what we can do when we're presented with a problem like this. That's my personal feeling.
I never heard that there was a resolution to solve the problem currently or in the past. And that's what gives me heartburn. And if I knew that there had been a plan to fix it, and fix it to the standards of the city and the state and ADM and the neighbors all agree they fixed it, I'd be a little more inclined. But I'm still seeing too much finger pointing and too much, I was a bad developer, and pointing fingers at who was responsible. And, or if there was a plan as part of this package to say, yes, we made mistakes, which is readily admitted by the petitioner. If he would have included a plan in this proposal that would have met all those criteria, then I could probably think about it. But at this point, there's nothing to prove to me that these neighbors are going to be made, would say whole, can't be made whole, but at least they are protected from what's been happening. And I've seen nothing and I see nothing that makes me feel that's the case. And I think the only way that we can ever make that happen is by not approving this as it is. That's my opinion.
When you look at this drawing, and the first thing we found out is he didn't go by the LDP, and he says, I didn't do a lot of this stuff because I didn't know why or how to do it. That's tough, but it's really tough on the neighbors because you didn't know what you was doing. And it ain't their fault because you screwed up. It's their problem. And we approved it, or this planning board approved it, you doing this thing by going by the LDP, which required detention ponds and other things. And when you look at this, if you came up here, Mr. Centel had drawn on here before, contingent that before this is divided, we're gonna have some detention ponds here and here and here and here that's gonna fix these problems. I just said, okay, you're gonna fix the problems, we'll subdivide it if you fix the problems. Plant some pine trees and some grass, that's great, wonderful. It slowed it down, but it didn't stop it, like Mr. Harrison said. You know, we can look at them pictures, but we can't tell how the runoff is because we don't live out there. You need to show me how you gonna fix this problem before I even think about doing it, because you're supposed to have fixed it when they gave you permission to do it the first time, and you didn't because I didn't know what I was doing. That's no excuse. I'm not gonna go ahead and do brain surgery. I don't know what I'm doing, and when that person dies, I'm sorry, I didn't know what I was doing. That's not these folks' problem. It's your problem. You're supposed to know what you're doing because you're the one said, I'm gonna develop this property, and you didn't. It's your problem. It's your fault. It's their problem. You need to fix it, and then come back and talk to us.
Anyone else from the commission want to make any comments? Okay, folks, we've closed discussion and we have talked amongst ourselves. And we have a request for a vote on, bring back up the, it's going to be S10222, resurvey of lots 1 and 2 on Green Acres.
Well, we need to vote on the approval, right? Regardless.
Yeah, we had
You do have a motion or to remove the request for waivers.
We have a what?
Motion to, a request to remove the waivers.
You need a motion?
No, he
we
made
had
one.
He made one.
Mhm.
Is he on the commission?
that, didn't we just do that?
He's the
He requested
petitioner.
He requested, he didn't
Yeah,
make a
you don't
motion.
have, it can die with a lack of a second if you want to do it.
Pardon me?
It can die if you don't want to do that. That's fine.
Right. But he didn't make the motion, he requested.
He
one to be made.
requested
That's
that
right.
he be allowed to remove
He
his.
can't make a motion.
Right.
Okay.
To pull up the variance request, he can, all right, commission, the petitioner has requested to remove the 2 variance requests of cap sewer sidewalks on lot 2 and 3. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no.
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 No. Dot. Didn't pass. Back to my original motion then on S10222. 3-lot subdivision, 13 acres, 5826 King Mill Road. Do I have a motion and a second?
Motion.
Second.
Ms. Hornsby?
No?
No.
Nope.
No,
No.
No. Other business?
Tim, I'm not sure I'm not sure If he requests for his variance
You wanna go ahead, Ms.?
taken off, I don't see how we can not approve it.
I did,
Yeah, well, we got two.
all the time.
I mean, I don't think it's gonna matter, but I mean,
Please take your conversations outside, please. We're not done with city business. Thank you.
Many
All right.
nights we have to wait on security. I said many nights we have to wait on security.
Seen Indy out there now and then.
All right, Commission, we have two quick items for you. The first will be for you all to approve the 2023 meeting date and deadline calendar. This was sent to all of you when we sent the packets, and here is that calendar on the screen for you.
All right, Commission, all those in favor of approving the 2023 meeting date and deadlines, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it.
Great, and then just really quick, we kind of wanted to update you all. We are trying to shift to be digital only, which is
what?
huge.
Say again?
Digital only.
Digital only.
Digital only. So
I'm out.
What is that? Yeah, well,
I'm out. No,
Lost
no
half the
apps,
commission.
no apps and no digital. If I can't write it down, I'm out.
no,
Yeah.
this is good.
Yeah.
This is good.
We're gonna make a motion on that, right?
No,
It'll
What do you
help all of
know?
our offices not be full of plats
Say,
and
it's
stacks of folders.
it will help city staff
All right,
immensely.
so you're to your benefit, not ours.
Well, and it'll only bring more exciting things. Like we'll get to work on more software and be able to show you better developments. It'll be good. But we wanted to.
So what do you want us to vote on, or you just tell us?
Wait a minute.
No,
I wanna,
we are being transparent. We wanted to give an update to you and to all, and just letting everyone know who we work with, that we are trying to shift that way. So if we don't have any issues between now and the end of the year, between developers, applicants, if no one comes out and is up in arms and just really wants to continue turning in paper copies to us each month, which developers have to give us 12 copies of each plat, then they have to bring back the revisions. So it's a lot of back and forth that we're trying to eliminate. So
And
just
we'll still
wanted to-
we'll still get it scanned by email, so we don't
Oh,
have to do any of
absolutely,
that, right?
absolutely,
Make you feel
yeah,
better,
yeah.
Tim?
You guys will still get your digital copies.
so if you still want to bring paper up here, can you bring paper?
Yes, we will always put
Okay,
paper
good.
upon
All right.
request. But that's all.
That's it?
Yep.
Any other questions, comments?
Happy
Meeting's
Thanksgiving.
adjourned.
They gonna
Thank
increase
you.
our pay?
No. Hey, yeah, I got 2 bottles of water now.